one thing I've been saying, there is no love in Africa. There is no love in our culture. And then this is actually the major reason why things are actually going bad in every part of Africa. Even when they exist in a saner climate. I'm talking about the America today. You find out that is even the black community is the most backward community in America. So there is something that we need to really look at, and I think it has to do with our culture. We do not love ourselves, and that's the truth. You cannot blame it on the system. If you're looking in the way of Russia, Russia is like a man trying to woo someone else's girlfriend. Yes, he will act very nice, and that's it. And you can't be talking about the military, because the military is not in any way different. If you have been on the fourth floor for a while, so understand a bit of what the military can actually bring to a nation. In Nigeria, we observed what happened during the Abacha regime, and even Obasanjo regime, because his approach was military kind of. Yes, if you've actually been brutalized by for no reason, you understand what I'm saying. Now, the military is not even an option. As a matter of fact, we need to look inward for a solution. Now, the same people who would support a disaster personified candidate vote for the wrong person, and you'll be blaming it on the West. The West has nothing to do with choosing your leader. That's the truth. You choose your leader. Your leader is actually a product of the people, and regardless of whatever government you practice. Now, this is it. The place you're actually looking at, which is military, they will not even give you a chance to choose. Now you have a system that allows you to choose your government. But the truth is, most of us, like what we experienced in Nigeria recently, during the last election, people voted along ethnicity line, religious bigotry here and there. At the end of the day, you're blaming the West. It has nothing to do with our failures. We need to really understand, yes, even barbarism was actually part of the West culture at some time, but they actually worked on it. They created laws that can possibly checkmate racism and all that, yes. They created law over time, but in Africa, there is constant retrogression in terms of the way we try to make things work. And at the end of the day, you can't blame it on the West. I can't look in the way of Russia. I can't look in the way of China, because the truth is, no country is a charitable organization. They are not coming to give you charity. They're not coming to help you. Your solution lies within. And that's exactly what China has actually done. They solved their problems. They knew exactly what they wanted. They sent in spies to the Europe. They learned their technology and they brought it back home. A lot of Africans were actually sent there. They got scholarship as well. Where are they? Even when they came back home, the system, the cultural deficit, also made it difficult for them to establish their relevance. Now, these are the issues. We can't be blaming the West. We can't be calling on the military. No. Yes, we know we get so tired when these civilians take us for a ride. Yes, I'm tired as well. But the reality is this: if I remember history very well, and I understand what happened during the military regime in Nigeria, and even if you're a good student of history, you understand what I'm saying. They are no good at all. They are no good at all. You still have distinct cultural deficit in a system where somebody will be authoritative. That is a problem. So I am not really in support of the coup, though I would rather blame it on the people, because the truth is, if we stand up for ourselves, we can actually take down the government, or take back our nation. That's the truth. We need to really stand up for our nation. So it's not really about anything, military, Russia, whatever. Yeah, they will woo you. They'll give you a juicy proposals here and there. Yeah, even if they don't mention it, you see it. So please, let me just stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Darcy, for that another good one. I agree with you on some occasions that this has we have a there is a cultural problem. I kind of get it, but you and I know we've been talking about it here that the system they put it is a divide and rule. If the institutions that the democracy actually entails, it actually give somebody who is a Kisii man in Kenya the right, even if the Masai is the president. I don't know if you understand. The institutions are not actually working. Look at all the African countries, all of them, from all the black African countries, because the North now they're trying to align themselves to say we are not Africans. But if you look at the black African nations, they have all had institutional problems. Because, like I just gave you, Kisii man will be the president. You see a Masai person telling them, they try to make sure that a Masai man doesn't get to one of the posts. They kind of make the equality is not equal to what they do. They don't put that equality. That is the problem we are facing. Like I gave Amanda just now, the way the British did their own, they will not see an Irish person, they will not tell you it's not a British.
Yeah, boy.
Or you see a Welsh that not tell you it's not a British. Because they know if they don't pass that inclusiveness.
Ogami J-Boy, I have a submission briefly with Baba T. As soon as I do that, I will join you.
Inclusiveness, thank you very much. Yes.
But that is why I'm trying to make sure that everybody is hearing what is going on. Okay?
Somebody who is in northern and ruling, you see it will all benefit one side. They will leave the other one lacking. If this one, other ones are ruling, it will look the other one lacking. So why are they not the same? And this is what these people also dwell in, because of they want to take what belongs to you. They will just pretend as if they don't know, because they know the day you equal yourself to that rule, what you call rule, that is the day you will tell them to get out. And that is what they are saying, having turbulence right now. So let me not just dwell on that. Let's move to the next person.
So let's move forward because we have a lot of people that are requesting. Dr. Prince, are you there?
Dr. Prince.
Hello guys, thank you very much for the opportunity, and I do pop in sometimes, hear what's going on, and I pop out, but today I was really moved to talk because of some things I had some people saying. The last statement you made, I kind of agree with you, but I think you're still saying the same thing the last person spoke. In a way, it's still the same thing. What he said, if I should buttress on that before saying what I
Hey boy, are you there though?
Most of the things I wanted to say is that they gave us a system.
Are you there? I can't hear your voice.
You know, it was us that ruined it. Democracy is democracy. Only that our own democracy is skewed. It's not really.
Okay, good. Sorry, just wait. As soon as I drop my submission in this meeting here, then I'll join you.
The United States. In the UK, the current Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, he's an Indian person, though probably was born or moved to the UK with his family at a young age. But the fact is, the initial time he contested last year, and they decided to go for Liz Truss because she's, of course, a 100% British person and a lady at that. So they went for her, and what happened? The economy started going down, and they couldn't take it. She lasted in the office, was it 80 days, I think? And she had to be the person that stayed in the least number of days in the office in the UK history. Why? Because these people want something to happen. They want something to move forward. They came and said, no. Even though he fired his Ghanaian chancellor, she fired him, but still said, no. Things are not going well. And she had to leave the office. And then they gave it to this person that obviously they initially said, we're not going to vote for him, especially most of the citizens that still have some sort of racism in them, but it depended. But come to Africa, come to Nigeria. I'm Nigerian, by the way. You see someone in the office doing so bad, just because he's from a particular region, and this region, they're still dying of hunger, yet they're still supporting the person. They're still supporting the same political party. You keep wondering, is it that we're not tired of what's going on? So they gave us democracy, but we are the ones not holding our leaders accountable. And like he said, that's the first thing I wrote down I was going to say. The problem of Africa is Africa, not the West. And whoever that is looking at Russia as a savior, the person is only fooling themselves. Because if I want to give you history of Russia's involvement in some countries, in contrast with that of the West, first of all, let me go to the case of North Korea. Russia supported North Korea, while the West, the US, supported South Korea. Now look at the two countries today. Look at them. Who is doing much better? South Korea have got a democracy, while in North Korea we know what it is. And now North Korea is listed as one of the poorest countries in the world. Not just the famine they had and everything, but just because of what's going on. Now, which other country do I have to compare? Germany, after Germany was conquered, it was divided into East and West in Germany. The West were in charge of the West. Hunger was synonymous with the East that was being held by Russia. While in the West, it was almost like a paradise in contrast. So what happened? They had to merge the country in the end, and they signed the agreement. The country had to merge together. That's why we now have a unified Germany. If not, it would have been the same. What broke the USSR? What broke them? Because of the economic crisis. They were going down economic-wise. So what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is, don't put your trust, not Russia to even begin with, they are not even the top 10 economies in the world. With what happened to Japan, America dropping nuclear bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and with every other thing that had to happen, the sanctions and everything, still Japan is among the top 10 economies in the world. South Korea is among the top 10 economies in the world. Now it's not like the West is like, okay, let's say compare other countries. Like I would always tell people, the British pounds and the US dollars are not even the strongest currencies in the world. But some people don't know this. Some people don't know this. They are, in fact, the British pound is 6th, while the United States is 10th. That's the US dollar. It's 10th among the strongest currencies in the world. So why is that?
The strongest, I think, is the Bahraini. The Bahrain is the strongest. The Bahrain dirham.
The strongest is Kuwait.
Kuwaiti dirhams.
Yes. While the second is Bahraini, and then Omani is a third. I think the fourth is Jordanian currency.
I think the UK is the 6th.
If you look at it, remember, Kuwait was invaded by Iraq during the Gulf War. With everything they had to go through, still they had to bounce back. What does that tell you? Other countries have been colonized by these people. Somebody said it's religion and democracy. Other countries have been colonized by these people. They gave them religion, they gave them democracy, and they are doing well and better. Some got independence the same year Nigeria got their own independence. And as a matter of fact, do you know that Nigerian economy, if I should bring it down, is considered as number 1 in Africa? Yeah, Nigerian economy is being rated much more than that of that of Qatar. It's rated more than United Arab Emirates, rated more than Morocco, Egypt. Yet, what's going on in Nigeria? Now, what does this tell you? And somebody says they're stealing our resources. These people are stealing no resources. They are paying for whatever they are getting. Believe me, they're not getting it for free. They're not taking it for free. They are paying for it. But what happens is the leaders, their greed and corrupt stomach is the problem. That's just the problem. And why? Because we don't have a system of accountability. And if we are suffering because we don't have a system of accountability for the leaders, then how much more are you going to say with military? Someone is saying military. Do you know what military is? Were you born today or yesterday? Nigerian currency was far more than the British currency back in the days. Who ruined it? The military, they kept on looting and looting, looting. I have someone mention Abacha. Even till tomorrow, we keep getting looted funds by that single man. If it's not coming from the Swiss bank, it's coming from UK or it's coming from the US. Every single year, is either returning $500 million or $10 million or how many millions of dollars just by one person. And somebody has rightly said, you can't just say military. Do you know, speak with a military man, understand the way these people reason, then you understand that you're just a bloody civilian. So what am I trying to say? We've made some current points, very important points on how we can move Africa forward. Yes, but one thing I think we have to do is to, if for one thing, clear that backward mentality of blaming the West for the way we are. Is not their fault. Not at all. Whatever we think we've been through or we're going through, some other countries have gone through it or are still going through it, and they are doing far more better than us. And what else would I say just before I close up? Let me just look. I think I jotted down a few things while people were talking. Okay.
Take your time, Dr. Prince. Take your time to look for it.
I really want to go back to work, but I'm really grateful for this opportunity to talk, and I love the contributions everybody is making. Yes, one more thing. I've had this over and over again, and it makes me sick sometimes when they say Africans built Europe, Africans built America, blah, 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 blah. How many percentage of the population of Africans were taking either slaves or paid workers on paid work? Another Nigerian story. Believe you me, Nigerian economy is even more than that of South Africa. Yet, see the way the country is in ruins. I rest my case here. But finally, yes, finally, whoever that is saying Russia, let Russia come in, let Russia come in. No, Russia can't even save themselves, and they only see it as an opportunity to rival the West. It's not anything. And like someone said, they are not charity organization. They're not going there to do any good thing to anybody or whatsoever. If they had the chance, the USSR then, if they had the opportunity to come into Africa before everyone else, they probably would have done the same thing the West did. But they are not economic. If I should use the word economic geniuses like the Western people, and that's why, of course, they suffered economically, and that's why they had to disintegrate from USSR to Russia, Ukraine, and all other countries and supporting them and all that. So coming into Nigeria with China or coming into Africa with China is still all about their influence. It's not like they're trying to create a unified world system where every country will stand on this own. No, it's never happened in the history of the world. In fact, throughout the history of the world, men have conquered men, nations have conquered nations, nations have subdued nations just to expand, just to grow bigger, just to grow. So we've got world powers coming in and going. So whoever that did whatever he did, whether the West colonizing Africa or West colonizing, it was part of the world system in the past. But now we are now, and we should look at ourselves, work within ourselves, and solve our problems. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you.
Prince.
Thank you, Dr. Prince.
Okay.
Yes, you are making the
Can we
point.
give the panel to the ladies, please? Girls, please hold on, please. Can we give to the panel to the ladies?
Can I say something?
Okay.
I have to get off.
Nini,
Yeah.
you are going to say, Nini, hold on, you are going to say
Okay.
something. I'm trying to look at the
Okay.
ladies that are here. So we have
Okay.
Crush House, we have Amanda again, then we have Nini. Okay, right. It was Opitan TV. Opitan TV, my brother. What's it?
Yeah, Baba T, please, if it's okay, let me just make my submission because I have to leave. Sorry.
The friends groups away. I wanted
Okay,
to.
all right. Hold on, everyone. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Is it Bergus? Sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. You just came in. You just came in now. I know when you come in, but there were others who are actually laying down here. But the point is that if are you rushing to somewhere? That's why you want to make your submission.
Yes, I am sorry. I am starting the show on YouTube very soon, and I just need to make my submission before I do that.
Okay, but we are going to ask because we have to follow due process here. We're going to ask the people who you came to meet, met here, if they will give you that privilege so that you can make your submission. Because I'm not going to just override them like that. So please, Amanda, Nini is on the phone. Sorry, that's what did you say?
I think it was
I'm still here.
TV that was telling you what to.
Yeah, because that's why. Because it's just making. So I want to ask them. Otherwise, Nini, do you want to allow Bigus to make his submission quickly? He said he wants to do something.
I said it's
I think
TV that was
it's
saying
open.
Yeah. Not.
Okay. Okay.
He can go ahead. He can go ahead. I
It's
can
actually
wait.
the one that is next.
Okay. All right. Okay. We Opitan TV. Let's hear your submission, sir. Then we'll go back to the women. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Sorry, everybody. I don't usually do that. It's just that I'm supposed to have started at 2 p.m. On my show. I want to say thank you, Baba T, once again for making this platform possible for everybody to voice out. And I really want to thank everybody who has made contributions so far. And even people who are clamoring for Coup and who are clamoring for Russia, I don't think there's anything wrong. It's just that we're trying to find a solution. The problem is just too much, and we're looking for solutions everywhere. But I want to implore everybody, please, don't let us become somebody whose body caught fire, and then we said, how do we stop the fire? We now jump into the river, and yet we cannot swim. That is the problem when it comes to the coup. We have a problem with democracy. It's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect. Even in the US, who is the father of democracy, it's never perfect. They have their problem here and there, But I noticed one thing about Nigeria. I noticed that every time we had a deadlock in an election or a bad election, the next solution is to start clamoring for coup. And the same thing goes around Africa. But I think Machiavelli and Dr. Prince and some others have actually do justice to this. A little brief, history into what Coup has actually done to us. They have actually done justice to that. But I will give you a very good example here of a very successful coup and a very successful administration from the outset, but that later on became same old, same old. I'm giving you example of Samuel Doe of Liberia back in the days. When Samuel Doe came into power, we saw a very young child who has all the brilliant idea about how to solve the problem of Liberia. As a matter of fact, the whole Africa was clamoring for this guy. It's not just the Liberian. We were all excited that, yeah, this is the guy who's going to solve the problem. Yes, he did good for the first few years. But eventually, are we forgetting how it ended up for Samuel Doe? What he actually became? And Jerry Rollins in Ghana.
Hold on, sir. Long take. Please mute yourself. Long take. Thank you. Go on, sir.
Thank you. And Jerry Rollins in Ghana is another exciting officer who came into power by actually destroying all his foes, or let me say all the country's foes who have been so corrupt, stealing from the country. When he came into power, every African were celebrating him. But what is the eventuality of Jerry Rollins? If I must tell you, all these leaders that I mentioned, they turned out to be worse off, as in they were worse than the leader they removed. Now let's come back to Nigeria, which has always been in the recent memory. I'm talking about, let's start from Buhari and Idiagbon. That is the recent memory. I'm not talking about prior to that, because somebody said earlier that they started ruining Nigerian currency, which has always been very, very powerful in the past. But let's start in the recent memory from Buhari and Idiagbon. When they came into power, we were all excited. They were doing good, okay? And they were forcing Nigeria with guns to the right direction. But then, unfortunately, that government didn't last. And Babangida came into power. Of course, some of us still remember the Babangida story. He's still alive. He remembers his own story. How much damage he did to Nigeria. Okay? Any one of us remember Delegiwa? Delegiwa is one of a renowned journalist in Nigeria who was never afraid to say like it is. The guy was sent a letter bomb that exploded, the sound of which the whole Africa heard. So let me remind every one of us, what we are doing like here right now is close to what Delegiwa was doing, speaking out against the power. So what do you think is going to happen to all of us here if we give power to people carrying guns? I'm not going to say anything further about that because we know what is going to happen to us. Okay? If you are in a nook or cranny or corner or anywhere hidden in Nigeria, they will find you, either lock you up until they finish their regime or kill that person. If any Nigerian or any Africa is talking from abroad, they will shut you off and make sure that TikTok and Facebook and whatever platform is out there is not reachable by any Africans or any Nigerian, so that nobody will hear you. So I think we have our body caught in fire, but we are throwing ourselves in the river by actually calling on the coup. And yet none of us can actually swim because none of us is actually carrying guns. So we voted some leaders in. We can't trust them. They started looting our money. Are we saying that we're going to trust the same Africans with gun now? I mean, we give them ballot box. They are messing with us. Now, when we give them gun, what do you think they're going to do with us? So please, I'm begging everybody. If we are finding solution in a rush, we will rush into problem. Let's calm down, keep it cool, and let our reasoning become calm and collect. By the time we come up with something, we're going to come up with something fashionable. We're going to come up with something really, really fashionable. And I believe that we are full of solutions. I admire one of our sisters who spoke earlier. I think Amanda by the name. I really admired the way she spoke. You know, it shows me that there is promise. Because I remember back in the days when I was in school, some of our ladies, even in political science departments, whenever we start discussing politics, do you know what they do? They walk away. But now, I think it's encouraging if we hear a 25-year-old sister actually voicing out on the political scene. That is very interesting. That is encouraging for me, you know. And I think just because we are not mature enough when it comes to democracy, that doesn't mean that we have to abandon it and run away from it and then go and pick on something else that is not going to solve our problem. But remember, if we all run back to coup now and military regime, how are you so sure that we're not going to be calling back again for democracy tomorrow? All of us here, we will be forced to the wall and we'll be clamoring for democracy to come back. We don't want to become that, going back and forth unnecessarily. You know, let's stick our heads to one course, one road ahead and solve it. Now, the Western world gave us democracy. How are the people in the Western world fighting the democracy to make sure that it stays strong? Because they're using their voices. They get on the street and ask for what they want, sometimes demand. Last time when we had the outcry of the End SARS movement, somebody tell me that doesn't make an impact on Nigeria. It does. It has a great impact on Nigeria. Yes, we lost a lot of our heroes in that particular movement, but that is still the same cause in which I can call for or ask for any day. Not for a man like me in Africa to carry gun. Because trust me, Machiavelli, if you have gun today, you go oppress me. No matter how close we are.
That's Decree 101.
I'm telling you, if I get gun today, Machiavelli, I go ask for waiting you know if you give me. And if you don't give me, now that gun I go point to your head. That is us as an African. We like the oppressive mannerism. The way of life of Africa is to oppress. It's in us. It's embedded in our culture. You know? And so when we have that in our culture, you know, to be carrying gun is not the next phase of things. Please, let us relax on that notion. And on the issue of Russia and China, I keep asking the same question, and I will ask again. What do you think they want from us? What do the Western world want from us? What is in Africa? They call us monkey. They call us all sorts of names. They will degrade us. They will treat us like rags. And yet they keep coming. For what? Ask yourself. Ask yourself. And if you ask yourself that sincere question, the answer will be because they are getting more than they are giving. They are getting from us more than they are giving. And that is why they keep coming. The Chinese know this fact. The Russians know this fact. Don't make excuse for them because they didn't colonize us. What the Wagner Group is doing in several places in Africa right now, my brother, is really devastating. They are literally using Africa as slaves to do mining. Yes, because our leaders actually allowed it to happen, but that's exactly what continues to happen with this Western world, with these foreigners. That's what continues to happen. So the only way is for us to find a route to stand on our feet. Do not beg the man to lift you up. Lift yourself up. If, after all, you know, those of us who are Christian, the Bible in the book of Proverbs actually wrote clearly, Psalm, I would say, that there is no help in the hand of a man who calls himself a noble. So why are we thinking that these people are superficial? That they have some intelligence that we don't have, they have some power that we don't have, and then we start calling on them every now and then to help us? The moment we start saying that, it means we first have actually degraded ourselves. So I don't believe in actually calling on any one of the foreigners, any one of them, I don't care where they come from, to come and help Africa. I believe Africa is sufficient enough to help itself. Let us go on and help ourselves. I mean, look at us on this platform. Different brains, people with intelligent and outspoken words. And you're telling me that we can't help ourselves unless we call on some, I don't want to call them names, because sometimes I could be so mad and you'll be thinking that I'm a racist. I'm not. I just don't like the idea that we keep calling on foreigners to come and dig hands into what Africa have. Let them keep off. Let them keep off. And let's help ourselves. Look, don't shut up. Silence is not an option. Keep speaking out. We need NSAS back. We need something of that nature back. We need to be on the street, not to fight, but to keep raising our voice. Keep raising our voice. Because it would be wrong for me to ask for somebody to fight. Because I'm right here. I cannot ask for you, any one of you, to fight. Because that would be selfish of me. But I can ask you to keep raising your voice, to keep speaking loud. You can do that on any of the street square. That is not unlawful. It's very lawful. It's constitutional. Ask for something. Demand for something. Trust me, they will listen one day. We will change things with our voice. That is the same way the Western world have been fighting their democracy. So if they give us a Western world idea, let us fight it the Western world idea, way, and which is just raise your voice. This platform here and there on the social media is very helpful. Hold on to it. We are speaking. They are listening. Trust me, they can't pretend they don't hear you. Last time when people criticized Akpabio that he was laughing at the poor people, look at his containers recently. He's getting the message. They are getting the message. Keep speaking out, brothers and sisters. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Obitan TV. I did agree with you to some extent, but I'll quickly put this.
Good evening, my brothers, my sisters.
Good evening, Malcolm X. Thank you very much. Just mute yourself first, Malcolm X. The reason why you see all this thing, I agree with you. The reason why you see this kind of people rhetoric of coup is because the democracy which we are copying from that we don't actually get that. We don't get the dividends, because what you are seeing is equivalent to Decree 101 that is being used by the military. That is what we are getting in Africa. You agree with me that there is no institution. If the institutions were actually working accordance with what the constitution that actually gives the bedrock of democracy, you will see that everything has been at the Garden of Eden. But it's not actually repeated. It's only for the West. For the elites in Africa. And that is what is happening now. And that is why the people say, we better just have a military coup. I don't blame them. But for me, coup is not the best solution. I will tell you, my brother, you will actually be clamoring for us to go back to where we are now. But my only question to the African leaders, do what is right and make sure that the democracy you say it belongs by the people, for the people, should actually be a reality on the ground. Thank you. Let's go to Mrs. Nini. Mrs. Nini, let's have your submission.
Hey, you guys.
Let's move out to the ladies, please. Hold on, please. The stream, it's hanging. Oh, please, can we keep power tapping? You know why? Because power tapping alerts the network that we are, we are working. That the platform is, really busy. We are not just robots, so it's good to always power tap. Thank you very much, Miss Nina. Your submission.
Yeah, Nini. All right, how are you guys doing? I hope everyone is well.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this.
My brothers and sisters, thank you for having me. If I get emotional about this, don't get mad at me. But I want to go way back to what that doctor was saying earlier. Victim blaming and blaming like people who are victims is not a good idea. It's not our fault. Like, we Africans should not be telling each other like it's our fault that this is happening. It's our fault. A lot of things are not our fault, in my opinion. We've been like, if somebody sets up a system for you, like that's a rat race and just keeps going around and around and around, it will really affect you and generations and generations. We, like, as young Africans, we're living with the trauma that our parents and our grandparents went through, So I don't want to victim blame. And he says something about China was under Britain colony and all that stuff. Yeah, those people, they had love for each other. The Chinese people, the only way that they got to succeed. Can you guys hear me? My internet is kind of buffing.
We're hearing you loud and clear,
okay,
madam.
thank you. So the Chinese people, the reason why they got ahead when they were suppressed and all that stuff is because of self-love. That like they love themselves. Like of course, like everywhere that the West went, they put their bad stuff on it, and they wanted people to look like them, and said that we Westerners and we whites are like superior. But the Chinese people, they stuck together. They did propagandas in their country, and they built their country together. They were not doing what we do. Like I'm from East Africa, and some of you are from West Africa. We hate each other so much. I don't know why. Like the hate that we have, we will never succeed. We will never go anywhere until we love each other. Like we're brothers and sisters, and like
Miss Nina, hold
yes, sir.
Hold on there.
Okay.
Continue. Don't worry. Continue.
Okay.
Make a submission. Don't worry.
So yeah, us loving each other and like healing from all this, whoever instigated between us, whoever told us to hate your next door neighbor and not like us, first we need to get over that. That's the first hump. Second hump is we need to educate our next generation, our children, our nieces and nephews, tell them how powerful we are, how good of a people we are, how we are like the best man made, okay? And put that and instill that in their heads. And when it comes to asking for handouts, I'm with the guy who was just talking. We should be ashamed. We should be ashamed. We shouldn't want a new master, because that's what these people are. China wants to enslave us. Russia wants to. They're not going to do no better. They want to take our resources for us to be the wealthiest country in the world, and for us to die and starve. And right now, I was doing research the other day that there's this what's it called, like organ harvesting. They're picking up all these children and women from Africa, and they're just over here doing whatever they want to do with it. So for us to heal from our pain, for us to stand together, and for us as people to protest, I'm not with violence. I don't think people should fight. We've been fighting so much wars, and we've been dying for no reason. And right now, we should just stick together. We should come up with ways, protest, go against these so-called leaders. If they hear us or not, these greedy men with the big bellies do not care about us. They don't care. They're going to keep getting their little cuts. They're just going to keep having what they have. The United States is not a democracy. I'm afraid to live here as an American. I was born and raised here, and I'm afraid to live here. I hope that Africa rises. I pray to God that we become one, and I pray that we stand together and we see our worth and our self-value, because I see that we don't. I heard there's a guy in Ghana, and he was making cars and stuff, and the Ghanaian government is not taking him serious because they're interested in foreign cars.
All right, J boy.
That whatever we are,
okay, we are here.
Okay, we are back.
Self-love.
Just give me 2 minutes.
Educating our people.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me.
In South Africa, they don't belong. No one that's not African don't belong in Africa. We should dance and run around freely in there and exchange and have our one currency, one government. And yes, they do keep us down, because look at what they just did to that guy Gaddafi. They took him off top when he said, "I want Africa to unite and for us to keep our stuff here." That's what they do to us, but they can't wipe all of us out. So if we have a new Gaddafi or a new Idi Amin in every generation, something is gonna work one day. And I pray and I hope that we stick together and we get out of this mindset, oh, it's our fault, it's our fault. You getting abused is not your fault. People are really keeping us down on purpose. Okay, thank you. Love y'all.
So much, Sister Nini, for that beautiful one. Please always join us and for the betterment of for the African continent. And we all need everyone, regardless of if you were in the United States. As far as you have the mindset of building Africa, come and join us. Thank you so much for that beautiful submission. Let's go to Crush House. Crush House, it's your turn.
Hi, everybody. How's it going?
Okay. J-Boy, whenever you are ready.
Okay.
So, I mean, as you've been hearing, that is on Baba T, one of my favorite guy on the TikTok. The guy is doing a very good job, very good job when it comes to actually pulling source of conversation together for the solution. and based on facts. You see, I always appreciate this, regardless of where you belong or who you belong to. I will tell you, Papa T is, from what I suspect, doesn't like the current administration in Nigeria, because he has made that clear several times without number. He's not a fan of Tinubu, But then the guy, you will never see the guy actually, you know, talking from both sides of his mouth like many of the obedience always do. He's always very factual. He's always very on point when it comes to providing solution. Because trust me, it's never about grievances all the time. It's never about grievances. How mad you are, how angry you are, how you can actually talk and call people names, how you can call Tinubu Chief Numbu, and all sort of names that you have out there, calling each other Agbadorian. I think you know what I mean, J-boy. The obedient we call the APC Agbadorian, and then the APC we call the obedient the granite eaters, simply because Peter Obi was seen several times eating granite, But then, look, let's drop the childish behavior, Let's just drop it. Let's face the reality here, It's about solving problem. It's about solving problem. You see, you were talking about something yesterday about analyzing some of the things that Tinubu said in his address. Is J-Boy there?
I am here with you.
Okay, so let me see if I can actually do us a favor and pull that up. The Tinubu address.
Okay, let's try to go to the palliative measures he is proposed.
In the address, you said?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm trying to see if I can pull that up now. Okay, I think I'll do that in a moment. It's just that all these window sharing. Okay, I think this is what we need here. Let me see how I can do this without actually revealing people's contact. Okay. Yeah, I need to be able to do this without revealing people's contacts. Okay, let's try again. Still not working. Okay, you can go ahead, Jay, while I'm looking for solution on this. J-Boy. Okay. J-Boy, please go ahead while I'm looking for solution to be able to screenshot the speech transcript.
Okay. I think it's a right decision that's taken by the president, taken by the bull by the horn. He knew the implication of that decision, and definitely everybody.
Please, brother, speak loud.
Okay. Now, he knew the implication of that decision. He knew what decision the potentials, the potent to the economy and the welfare of individuals. But sometimes leadership is all about taking decisions, whether good or bad. But what matters most is the futuristic dividends of that decision, because it's not all the time it's going to be palatable, but sometimes you need to take bull by the horn to ensure the welfare of your people, because that's why you are elected. That's why you are in position of authority, to use that position to improve the life of the majority of the people. And that's exactly why that is just inevitable. But a lot of people have cried, people don't like changes. People don't even like something that will discomfort them. That was inevitable. We are human beings. Everything that will make human being to be discomfort, you will tend to resist it. But as a leader, you must be able to see, because that's why you are a leader. You must be able to see above all these people to know what the futures hold for that decision you are taking. And that's the reason why we all need to join us together to support the president on the decision of subsidy removal. But then I look at what is embedded in his submission yesterday, talking about the speech he gave yesterday. Thank God he was able to acknowledge that Nigeria is on the people of Nigerians are feeling the removal of subsidy, and he was able to look at how it can able to ameliorate their condition. It talks about the issue of a proposal of a 75.
Let me remind you again, please speak louder, sir.
Okay, it's talking about 75 billion. 75 billion to small scale businesses, and they are going to take the loan below 9%. The interest rate will be below 9%. But in all these plans they roll out, very beautiful and lofty. Even one of the critics also saluted him. I'm talking about Hossein Rufai. For the first time, the guy said this is the best speech he have ever seen the president giving in recent times, and which everybody also joined hands to acknowledge indeed. But and the problem, and which is the problem of majority of people now, is talking about implementations of these lofty ideas. Implementation of ensuring that this idea is outlined that he presented is able to be implemented to the letter. I think that's where we all need to be on our. Everybody should be on the lookout for, when to try to able to see that this what the president planned to do is actually achieved. Because there's a difference between planning, there's a difference between execution. Because planning sometimes, it involves a lot of strategies, a lot of data taking. But what matters most is how do you implement that what you plan, and that's where your technical know-how will call for questioning, and that's why everybody now, whether every stakeholders in the Nigerian project, must be on the lookout how the government intends to implement these ideas as planned to give to the people. Talks about the release of grains to the market. Talks about the issue of giving farmers money to produce produce. Talks about buying of buses given to all the states, about 3,000 buses given to all the states. Talks about the reviews of salary of workers, and these are all very lofty ideas. But now, how do you intend to achieve this? Yeah. But that was not embedded in that word. But I know you can't able to give us the details. But what matters most now, we Nigerians now, we must not rest on our oars, because these are the problems we always have. And that's why when you're talking about, I will listen to the people on the other shows. You talk about issues, and that's very germane issues. Africa are always passive about what happened in their environment. They are not conscious. Why? Because they don't have information. They don't have information. And yesterday, I want to roll down yesterday. People don't have information. They are highly deformed. And when you don't have information, you don't know how to fight for your rights. You don't know how to fight for your rights, to trying to guide the government on what to do. And if they are doing otherwise, how to send them packing. Let me tell you, government can never be bigger than the people. It has never happened anywhere in the world. If people don't support government, the government is already failed. Because they own you, and you don't hold them. They are the one that owns you as a leader. Without followers, they can never be leaders. And if the followers say no to you, that means you are finished. And that's why when people are highly informed and conscious of the certain decision of government, and they want that thing to take place, and that means what? They must be on the neck of people in charge to do justice to that, to deliver on that. And that's why these are the issues now that concern us, and that's why we're going to use this platform to promote all the time, to tell the people to be on the lookout, to try to increase the awareness of the people about the plans of government and how we must ensure they carry out that plan objectively. Because another issue to all these issues now, that it's not that one party leader will now hijack everything to his side. Because look at what happened to the Buhari the other time. There are 50 million people on their poverty registered. Oh my God. I don't know a single person that enjoy out of that poverty cash transfer. I don't know a single person. To tell how poor it is, 15 million. Oh my God. And to tell you that this money being given out is only set of people are those sharing that money. To tell the monumental corruption that took place within that scheme. Now, during the COVID-19, the minister was saying he was giving food to students at home. No, I don't get that. Is it to tell you how poor, and that's where the Nigerians need to cry out now. I'm trying to hold them accountable for every action taken, and that's why we too must do too, to hold our president accountable for what he has planned to do, to ensure that he do what he said he wanted to do. If he did not do it now, we will not have our PVC to show him the door out. And that's it. And that's how democracy works. And that's how power belongs to the people. Because I don't believe that power belongs to the electorate. Because I've learned that people we always use that word erroneously, that power belongs to people. No, power belongs to the electorate. And the electorate must decide who will be their leader. And if the leader is doing otherwise, contrary to the aspiration and wishes of the electorate, now when the time comes, they need to show him the exit door. Okay, you have failed woefully. Please go and rest in your house. We want a new person that can match our ambition to come on board, because we own this country, not you own us. Simple. I think that is exactly that what we need to put in place now, and everybody must be conscious of this, and we must strive to achieve this. Thank you.
Thank you, J-Boy, as always. Thank you very much. I personally want to actually go back to the things you mentioned earlier from the what's it called? From the palliative or the speech yesterday. That is Tinubu's speech yesterday.
Okay.
There are very interesting things he said. Of course, I realized you were saying that what's his name?
Oseni Rufai.
Rufai Oseni
Yes.
in Arise TV actually commended the speech, but that is not very important as far as I'm concerned. Looking at item 15, right from item 15, that is when it becomes very interesting. To strengthen the manufacturing sector, increasing capacity to expand and create goods-paying jobs. We are going to spend 75 billion between July 2023 and March 2024. Fund 75 enterprise. Then 1 billion to assess 1 billion in credit at about 9% per annum. That is when it becomes very interesting, because now we are beginning to see a real application of government to real sector, which is very rare, especially judging by the regime of Buhari. And if you have had me in the past actually telling you that we need our government to come out and give us step-by-step ways of which they are doing things. This is very important, so that people will know what to expect. And we don't see it, then we know exactly what to actually pinpoint. Don't just yell without knowing what you are saying. Of course, if you think government is your enemy, you have to be able to know your enemy, right? In order to be able to fight your enemy. But then you want to tell everybody that Tinubu is unintelligent, Tinubu is a criminal, Tinubu is this, Tinubu is that. But then you don't even know what he's doing. I mean, we know you don't care, but should you care? Because guess what? Like I said yesterday, the reality today when I wake up is that Tinubu is the president of Nigeria. Okay? Unless the tribunal say otherwise, that will continue to be the reality of every Nigerian. So in that case, pay attention and listen. J-Boy has actually started us very well today, but I think it's interesting that he talked about our target to give 50,000 each to 1,200, 300 nano business. Okay? Many Nigerians don't might not understand what that means. Please simplify it. When I say simplify, I beg, J boy, don't use big English, please. 50,000 naira to nano business, about 1,300 of them. What does that mean for Nigerians?
They are talking about all those nano business. Sir Blue?
I'm here.
Okay. Yeah. Nano business has to do with those all the small scale businesses that they have liquidity issues due to the inflation trend that will have eroded their capital base. Talking about all those little businesses, and they want to inject that at least by giving them 50,000 naira. I think that would be somehow a kind of a stimulus to their businesses, and that will help them to sustain them, and they will not be fizzled out of the economic activities. You know, you are saving a lot of families from poverty and joblessness by doing that. Because by the time you're giving 50,000 naira, it might be a small money to some people, but to some people it's a big money. Because when you look at some people's capital base, discover that it's not even more than that, and they are surviving on it. Because I know a lot of people like that, dealing with day-to-day activities, dealing with a lot of food items, and they buy, they sell, they buy, they sell. At the end of the day, they make like 5,000 every day, and they go back home, and they are surviving. And these kind of people that you are targeting, by the time you try to inject this such amount of money into their businesses, you are giving them that leverage to able to sustain them, and they can be able to be competitive. Now they will have the capacity to able to weather the storm of the economic reality that the subsidy removal must have posed on them.
Voice louder, please.
I say by injecting such amount of money into all these businesses, will have given them that capacity to able to weather the storm that the reality of a subsidy removal will have posed on them, and they can able to remain afloat, not being drowned by the circumstances of our economic reality. I think that's the intention, and it's very commendable. But the bottom line, which I always been the issue I always emphasize on, how do we ensure the money gets to the real people? Because that's the problem we have. Because these problems stem from the lack of database, lack of registration, lack of organization that can able to organize these people into cooperative. You know, some countries, when you look at most of the Asian countries, especially those in Indonesia, Bangladesh, that's how they organize themselves. Most of them always organize themselves in cooperative kind of organization. And if you want to deal with them, it's easy to go straight to those people, and you can able to deal with them. At least you can have like 1,000 under one umbrella. At least by the time you want to get to 1,000, just get to their head, they get their registers, and you do what you want to do with them. But in Nigeria, yeah, we don't have such. Even if we have such, the leaders are very corrupt. That's the problem. The problem is the level of greediness of individuals. No sincerities on the part of anybody, whether you are a leader or you are followers. What comes first is how to enrich yourself at the expense of others, and that's why we always have this issue become a recurring decimal in our nation. But to get to those people, because I'm also looking at strategy they are going to use to ensure that every people's that they are targeting, they can able to capture them. But how they're going to do it, I don't know, because the process they can able to use, we don't have it on ground. I'm talking about how they registered, because most of them don't pay taxes. They don't pay taxes. Nigeria don't pay taxes. That's the reality too. Most of them don't pay taxes. They are not registered. They don't have on database, and the what do call it? They don't have organization. And if parameter they belong to organization, the organization is only about the interest of people at the ends of affairs. Even the common money that those people who contributed to that association, come and see the way the leadership there are always I don't want to use the word embezzle now, but the way they always squander the money is something that's not palatable. I think that's issues. It's a very good idea. I think the government need to find a means, trying to create put on that think cap to able to create a very good means to ensure that the money get to the intended target. I think that should be idea. It's a very good idea. Talking about people businesses that are of lower small scale. I don't do small scale, but lower small scale, and to
So
able to
if
remain afloat.
if we have to look at this, one of the promising area yesterday is that at least we are now saving money.
Hmm?
Okay, because the situation we have before is a situation whereby we are putting water inside the basket that is leaking. So now one of the holes in the basket is being blocked, which is the subsidy. And now Nigeria is able to recover about 1 trillion naira
Naira
or more
within 3 months.
within. It's not even up to 3 months. You know. So what does that suggest? Mayor is here. Mayor Lagos. Mayor. Okay, we will be waiting for him. Is it that for me is a very positive sign, you know, that we are able to, because before we know that we are servicing our debt with almost 95 or 96% of our revenue,
Hmm.
which is terrible.
Hmm.
Which is terrible. That means the money is coming in through the eyes of the needle, and is going out through the eyes of the drum. You know, so at least now we are able to save money. And
And
at the same time we can focus on our debt. It's one thing to actually save money; it's another thing to be able to spend it wisely. That this is
okay,
where trust comes in. This is where Nigerians are always worried about. That our
let me try
politicians have.
to put a
Um,
lot of issues on ground to understand.
okay, please, you need to speak louder, please.
Okay, I'll do.
Yeah, because a lot of people are trying to listen to you, but when they can't pick you very well, it's becoming difficult. So I understand your situation there, with microphone equipment that we are trying to get, but before then, please echo it louder.
Okay, how will you hear me loud and clear now?
Yes, that's better. That's better. I know
Okay.
when you get comfortable, the voice goes down, but always be mindful. Mm,
So Blue, you will not kill me here.
mm.
That's it. Now the issue is this now. There are even outside saving of money, there are multiply multiply effect of that subsidy removal. Now Nigeria has been championing the ideas of deregulation. Now, what do we mean by the deregulation? Involvement of private sectors in the downstream sectors, and allow market forces to be the determinant of the price of these petroleum products, and that has been the ideas. And when government is still controlling the price template, how do you want to ensure the regulation? Now, by the time you deregulated and more private sectors involved, what do you have there? You have more capital inflow into the sector. 1, 2, more jobs are created. 2, 3, government can able to collect taxes. 4, the government will not spend their hard earned money on all these things. 4, government can also have money to develop infrastructure otherwise, and also to do what can stimulate development in other area, capital development, and pay good salary to government workers, and which also have multiply effect on the economy because the purchasing power is high, and they can able to buy more products, and the company can able to produce more. At least the circles of that economic activities there, what you intend to do, and that's another angle to that. And the other one that we people are looking at, which government is also even concerned mostly, is all about they can able to save more money. Because when you look at Buhari regime, since 2016 we have been borrow money, and we borrow until the man left, and it's a very sorry situation now. By the time you look at the debt portfolio, it's something that's worrisome. Because by the time Nigeria is using the so-called revenue to service that debt, what's now left to promote capital projects in the country? And if there's no capital project, there's no how you can stimulate development and growth in an economy. There's no how you want to do that. There's no magic in that one, and that's why it's a bold step, and we have to face the reality. Because I'm looking at it, if you continue by trying to save, trying to dodge this decision, and we're trying to look at how to better our country, we are just deceiving ourselves. we are going to run down to what Argentina went to, where Argentina cannot able to pay their debt anymore. They were default and they went to what? Economic crisis. Until a president came to able to reverse the situation. Look at what happened in Venezuela in 2016, 2017, where the rate of there was a galloping inflation in that place. Not even galloping inflation, almost about 1,000% rate inflation. And these are the issues that we need to avert if we continue borrowing, because the time we got to a point we will now default in our repayment process, and that what portends for us that number one is discussing on the international market, and that means our foreign reserve is in problem, and that will skyrocketed our foreign exchange. We know all the circles, all the surrounding all these things, and that's why there's a need for government to sustain this. I think that's why now they want to go on strike tomorrow, but I think they are still locked on with negotiation with them to avert go on strike tomorrow. I pray they need to try to find a means to appease this labor. They not go on strike, because by the time they are going on strike, they are going to compound the woes of people more, and that one is catastrophic. And these are the issues that we need to address aggressively now. But what matters most now, the idea was a very good idea, but implementations, people that because it will not be the one to implement all this thing. I have to people to do it, and that's where the issue of capabilities and people that are capable of doing that job comes in. I hope those people that were entrusted with that responsibility, they can be able to do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's look at this section here. 25. Let me screen share that part again. Okay, number 25 of that particular text. Am I getting it right? No, 21. Sorry, I'm sorry, 21. Our plan to support cultivate of 500,000 hectares of farmland and all year-round farming practices remain on focus. To be specific, 200 billion naira out of the 500 billion naira approved by the National Assembly will be disbursed as follows. And then he itemized the disbursement. But my primary focus has always been on agriculture. Yes, we have the priority for power and infrastructure, okay? And when I say infrastructure, I mean roads. Nigerian roads to be one of the competing roads in the world. That's what we want. And to be secured, okay? Security is the paramount. And then you look at power, okay? And then you look at food. These three things I mentioned, they can go a long way to transform Nigeria. A long way to transform Nigeria. And I always say, these are all basic things, basic necessities that any government, wherever you may be around the world, should be able to accomplish. Before we start worrying ourselves about other things. Basic necessities such as good roads, power supply, and provision of food. Sponsoring agriculture in a very, very massive scale in order to be able to aid the country. The money that has been stolen in Nigeria, put together, you only need about 10% of it to take care of these things that I've mentioned. You only need about 10% of it to take care of the things that I have mentioned. But we keep having greedy leaders who will take more than they ever do. In fact, let me stop calling them greedy leaders, because I think greedy businessmen, greedy people, they sometimes understand that they have to pave way for those things to keep growing. You understand what I mean, J-Boy? Mm-hmm. If you are cutting a tree and you are not replacing that tree, one day you're going to run out of tree to cut. If you're truly greedy, you have to be wise at the same time, so that when you are stealing from somebody, you want to make sure that that person is sufficiently okay, so that you can come back and always steal. But in the case of Nigerian leaders, they are greedy
And they are foolish because they keep stealing and they are not making way for any growth at all. And that's the problem with Nigeria. And I will say it again. All the money that have been stolen from Nigeria or any other African country from that matter, only 10% of this is required to transform Africa or to transform Nigeria into a better society by providing basic amenities like that of good roads, power supply, and food. So how can we actually make sure that we raise our voice enough for these people to recognize these basic things and actually start doing it in order to be able to create a good future? Look, there's a certain way you can actually do things and do it right so that people will not question what you are stealing. I can tell you a number of governors in Nigeria that have actually enriched themselves, but then have done so much for the state that the states will not even ask any question. But the case we often have in Africa are leaders who are so greedy and foolish. Don't tell me that America is not corrupt. There's corruption everywhere. But at least they are doing something. Yeah, boy.
Yes.
I will come back to you, but let's see if Mayor is here. Mayor. Yeah, it's as usual, a very terrible network.
Okay. And then you just need to hit the nail on the head. Indeed, our leaders, they are the most major problem we have in Africa here. It's obvious. I'll give an example. Look at Rwanda under Kigali. See how under Kigali was the name of their president. But see how he has transformed Rwanda. Rwanda now is one of the leading economies in Africa here. Fastest growing economy in Africa. Down to him. People criticize him all this while. But he remained focused. It was not even in the good book of the Wales. But what matters most is the giant stride that's making his own country. But when you now look at other parts, look at Nigeria, for example, and see how our leaders are behaving. I was reading something today that Bible said the money that the senators are taking is very small. I look at myself, almost 30 million naira every month. Those are legitimate money. Out of those ones, they are stealing. It does not sound stupid. 1 million per day. And today I was watching the screen they were doing. They were being begged to not to get weary because they have to do the job you are being paid. The job you campaign all around the whole country that you want to do, that you kill one another to get there. And the job is now at hand now, and you are still feeling dosy. Some of them, I'm very sure, some of them went away to do that job. And that's a reflection of the quality of leadership we have in this part of this world. And Nigeria is no exception. And that's why when you're looking at the issue of the basic needs of the people, that the government needs to take it seriously. I think we need to look from the bottom to the top, talking about from the federal government to the local government. Because all these things are in their domain. When you look at the issue of a road now, it's on the concurrent list. That means both federal government and state government has power to do roads. But when you look at the state government road, how many of them are in good condition? Go around over the whole countries. They are in state of comatose. They are in state of mess. You go around everywhere, and they will complain that federal government is not doing. But I'm not trying to raise the federal government or trying to or doing a wonderful job. But when you now compare federal government with state government is far better than state government. That's a reality. It's why the fact that the coverage of state government is very poor. It's very low compared to what the federal government is covering. But when you look at it, area of agriculture, don't mention that. Anytime you have time, Google it. What's the program of each state on agriculture in Nigeria? None of them have good program. None of them. As I'm telling you categorically, none of the state governors, none of the states have a program for agriculture in their state, and yet they are the one that owns the land. They are the one that holds the land, and they are the one close to the people. They are the one that know the peculiarity of their environment. To tell you how failed they are, and how baffled their actions are. And that's why, like what you have been saying since morning, I have said for a while, people need to speak out, and we need to put our government, our leaders, on their toes. Don't make them feel comfortable. Don't only hail them by the time they give you handouts. Somebody just like I remember those days, farmers will just come around there, former government of the state. You just sprinkle like 10,000 naira, 50,000 naira to be. Hey, they will say, hey, go. Those are the things we need to stop. We need to see how he's able to promote the happiness of his own people. What kind of program he has put in place? How he is able to strengthen the institution responsible for the promoting the happiness of the citizens. How he is able to empower them. How he is able to fund them. How he is able to supervise them to do their job diligently. I think these are the issues we need to all look at. All these things are just possible. I don't know anything impossible. Well, I remember when Mimiko was the governor of Ondo State. See kind of wonder he did in the X sectors. Other states then came to Ondo State to come and benefit. I remember most of Ekiti went there, Osun went there, Oguwewu came there because of the wonders he did. Unfortunately, now by the time he left, everything died with him, and that's the problem with having Nigeria here. To sustainability, because they are not from the same party, everything collapsed, and that's what we need to do. Everything rests on us. Trying to voice out, trying to lodge complaint, trying to strangulate them, and with that, they will be able to dance to our tune. But if we decide to keep quiet, they are going to continue to torment us and trying to believe that they are doing us good, rather than they are only doing themselves good. I think that's the issues that we need to do. The work is in our hand to ensure that we register our voice against their poor handling of our welfare, of our social amenities, and if they refuse to comply, we send them packing through our boats. I think that's a way to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Quickly, let us touch base on the trending in Africa. On the recent trend in Africa now is that most African countries are experiencing coup by the military leaders or the military men, men in uniform. And surprisingly, I've had many young people, I would say, because most people who are clamoring for military, unfortunately, most that I've had so far are below the age of 30. Mostly young people clamoring for coup in Africa. You had me shocked there, right? And you must have realized the reason why. Some of us were here, especially in Nigeria, in 1983, when the democracy actually failed totally, and people took to the streets fighting because of the bad decision made that led to reinstatement or re-election of the current president then, that was Shagari. And everyone who felt that they were being robbed in that election took to the streets, and we were fighting and yelling, and then we were asking for military to come and take over. I remember then that we didn't think it through. Of course, we got our answers. Sometimes they say, be careful what you wish for. But we didn't know then. We start asking for military to take over Nigeria. Of course they did. Buhari came and Idi Agbon. They started very well. Of course, seeing the way things are going, I don't know what Babangida and his men think. They said that Buhari and Idi Agbon were not enough. So they took over from Buhari and Idi Agbon again. And Buhari started as one of the longest serving military leader in Nigeria, if not the longest. J-Boy.
Yes.
I think he's the longest serving military leader.
Who?
Babangida.
No, go on.
Go on. Oh yeah. Because Gowon was there throughout the war.
Yeah, even after the war.
So coming back to Babangida, who actually oversee the best election Nigeria ever had, and yet still annulled that election. But that is just a cup of tea from what the military did in Africa. Most of the damages you see today in Africa is caused by the military. There's no way. Look, if you are saying you are too tired of men in Agbada because you put them in with ballots, and then you want to switch that Agbada to gun, trust me, do not say men in uniform. Men with guns. That's language. This is not men with uniform. And a lot of people wear uniform here and there. You are asking for men with guns to come and rule over you. Hold on a moment. Let me play this video. Let's see what happened recently in Niger, in Africa. I'm not sure why we don't hear voice. Okay.
Democratic country, we support democracy, and we don't need this kind of movement like this. We support Fazum 100% because he was elected by the people, and it was a fair election, and we are all going to show these people that it will not be happening like this.
Conseil national pour la sauvegarde de la patrie. Ce jour, 26 juillet 2023, nous, forces de défense et de sécurité, avons décidé de mettre fin au régime que vous connaissez.
So we are witnessing that the whole belt south of the Sahara is becoming an extremely problematic area. Today, a very strong appeal, not only for him to be immediately released, but not only that, for the democratic institutions to be re-established.
Je m'associe à l'Union africaine au communiqué sorti par la communauté africaine pour condamner ce qui s'est passé au Niger.
I spoke with President Bazoum earlier this morning and made clear that the United States resolutely supports him. We condemn any effort to seize power by force.
If you have an hour this week, you can...
So that is via The Guardian. And this is a trend in Africa, especially in the upper region of the West Africa right now. The military are taking over.
When you look at this country, I'm looking at most of them are francophone countries. They are francophone countries.
Francophone countries.
Yes.
And you don't think the Anglophone has the same problem?
I am not talking. I'm only looking at those ones now. The military have taken over in those countries.
Okay.
Guinea, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger. I think those are the countries now. Even Sudan too. Recently now, I think these are the 5 countries in Africa now. They are under the military have taken over in those countries. And when you look at it, and this is a problem of contagious effect.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing replicated in 1962, 1966.
Of course.
That's what I'm talking about now. The same issue replicated, and the same thing now is now going. And that's why the ECOWAS is trying to put a stop to this, because if this momentum should be sustained, other country can also become a victims, and which will be not in the interest or development of Africa. Whether we
It's
like it
not.
or not, the worst democracy is better than the best military government. That's inevitable. Nobody can debate that one. Unless somebody is just bereft of ideas that will come with an argument that will come and tell us that the military government offer much. Go and look at the Nigeria's trajectories of development in the First Republic. You can see the kind of quantum development that we are recording. But by the time military came in, these are the part they have more money to spend. See the way they truncated that development that was taking place then. Look at what West was doing under the Awolowo and later Akintola, and the way they were developing on the fast pace. Even the North, we are talking about pyramid. We are talking about the East too, and see the kind of development that took place then. Look at the schools we established at that time, and the development is somehow that is giving us at the end of the day. But now, by the time we took over, everything was reversed. And a lot of things that embedded in the constitution, they were also suspended. And this is very, very tragedy. This is very, very tragedy. And that is very something that the all African leaders, they need to be conscious of the power being given to them and trying to meet the aspiration of their citizens. In order to what? Not because the problem we have here, Africa, they are not highly informed. That's a reality. That consciousness is on their side. But what they want is how they want government to do that, to do what is expected of them, improve their life. But they are failing in that. And that's why some of them are looking for alternative that's even more worse. That just like somebody, just like what happened recently. Just let him just go first. We don't care who's coming. But when the other one that is coming comes, they will not come. And that's why it will also be what? Complaining again. And that's why, please and please, African leaders need to remain focused, and they need to be conscious of money given to them and see how they are going to meet the yearnings of the people. And that's also the responsible called what? Poor institution. And institution is too weak. Erosions of their power is something that also giving a huge concern to all the political pundits in Africa here. And that's why it's very easy for those guys in Ghana just to make announcement and everything put in place. But if our institution being tightened up, being strengthened, I think they can able to do their job. And there will no need for the invitations of military to take over. And that is exactly what is taking place. Because we're trying to dig deep into most countries that have issues. They have security challenges in their country. Like Burkina Faso now, they have a jihadist ravaging their country. The same thing Mali, ravaging their country. The same thing Niger. They have also issue of banditry in their own country. They also the same problem. And what causes these issues? I think these are the issues we need to also look at too. Thank God Nigeria have their own, but generally now we are surmounting it. And that's a need for us to sustain that momentum, for us not to become a victim of this military coming to power, because if they are coming to power, it will be suicidal for Nigeria development.
So of course, in these countries, the people came, took to the streets to go against the military regime. Of course, they do have their own supporters too, but I think the majority are not welcoming it. But if you look at the majority that are not welcoming it, there will be those who are well educated about what the damage the military can actually do. I gave about 2 examples earlier on the other show about Samuel Doe of Liberia. We also have Jerry Rawlings. I can name a few that were, vibrant youth in uniform that came into power. Very, very promising people. But they came into power with so much promise that everybody was buying it here and there. But I want to remind everybody that the same thing that we run away from, we will always get it from the men in uniform or the men with guns. Only it's going to become worse. Welcome, Naija Swag. Only this time around it's going to become worse, you know, because now whatever the politicians are trying to do in style with some stealing method, the military guy don't need to do that. They just put the gun on your head and get what they want. They'll make demands. There's nothing you can do about it. And caution, please, to every one of you guys that have social media there, that you have social platform and then you are talking trash, you know, asking for military to take over here and there. Because once that is done, you are done. I don't care where the platform is, even if it's not in Africa. If you are sitting down in Europe and you think you have a platform that will be speaking to people in Africa, you are done. I'll tell you how. Because most of your audience at the end of the day is in Africa. If they can't shut you down, they will shut them down from listening to you. And then you will just sit down talking to yourself. And if you have a platform and you're living in Africa and there is a military regime in your country, guess what? You're done. Arise TV, AIT, TVC, all the news media, we now have no choice but to do the bidding of the military regime. If they say one thing against the man in power, they are done. Of course, I gave them the little history about Delegiwa, one of a very renowned name in journalism in Nigeria, who was about to publish a particular news that affects the president of the day. And guess what happened to him? The story we had is that he was about to publish a news about the wife of the president there. We don't know how far that is true because the story didn't come out. But then he was killed. It was, sorry, don't let me use the language, you know. He was dealt with, you know, in a very tragic manner. But that is exactly what I'm saying, that we have to be very careful, you know, of what we ask for, of what we wish for in Africa. Military regime, military leaders, it's not the answer. The answer we need is far from that. It's far from that. You know, these people you are clamoring for to take power, they are coming from the same culture of Africa, the same culture that builds up your leader in Agbada, your leader is in suit. It's the same culture that breeded the military leaders, the military soldiers. And so when they take power, don't tell me that culture is going to be different. It's the same. It's only going to be worse now because now they have guns. And that's why we need to be very, very careful. Or else we will drag ourselves back about 70 years backward. About 70 years backward.
Let me try to show some things there. You know, that's what we call industrial complex in political science. Talking about having that kind of a superiority mentality that they are the best in the world, and that's always affect the way they only think. They believe others they are under their belt. But unfortunately, they are not trained to administer. They are only trained just to kill. Let me use that word. I think that everybody understand. They are only trained to kill. And by the time they now fortunate to find themselves, yes.
Sorry, the YouTube doesn't allow use of that word for some reason.
Okay.
Find the alternative.
Okay. They are trained to protect the territorial integrity of the nations, not to administer a nation. That means they're a bad manager. And what you see what happened recently now, if the police is one that handled the issue at Lekki Toll Gate, he will now have recorded the casualty that was recorded in that place. Because those are trained to be a civil security officers. But they are not. They are military and they are military. And that's what they are trained to do. And that thing always always reflect in the act of their governance. And we talked about the word obey force. Obey force. That's the issue. Whether the order is right or wrong, you don't need to question the order. Just obey it. And which is not tenable in democracy, where you have rule of law that guide the conduct of everybody. And that's the issues whereby we need as all Africa now, we need to desist from these ideas of intentions of military to be in charge of our countries. Because if peradventure, I told you the issues that happened in the 60s, our first republic. Look at the development that was taking place there, and that we are that we out of schools, free education, establishment of schools, free health program, industrialization, talking about our currency was doing well, our economy was doing well, jobs, people got out of schools, they were able to get a job, our culture was booming, everything was fine. But when they took over, what they do? They reverse all these games because of their lack of acumen towards towards administration, towards managing of our economy. And this always be the issues. And if look at even those countries now that I'm talking about, what have they gained recently? What Guinea have gained? What Burkina Faso have gained? Are they able to stop the jihadist crisis in that Burkina Faso? No. You see, check is recent of killing in that place. The same thing Mali. And the Mali now, they are not even fighting their former masters, France, that they are the one responsible for the crisis in their country. You know, and let me tell you, anybody that's accused somebody, accused others of a problem, is a sign of weakness. And that's why the issue of blaming the West for the woes of Africa is something that we must do away with it. I said we are failed, and how do we get out of the doldrum? And that should be the question on the lips of everybody. I think if we can be able to ensure that.
Good evening.
Hello, you are welcome.
Yeah, we were expecting you.
You are welcome.
Good evening, Salah Blue. Thank you.
You are welcome.
It is my network
that
regulating me.
Is that what?
Pay your bills, then.
I don't understand. Maybe it's the.
Pay your bills, man.
Well, I was talking to the management to get you another line.
Can you hear us?
Whether you join the yellow.
Yeah.
Yellow. You join yellow.
Okay. No problem. We need to find a lasting solution to it.
You join yellow like that. That red is not.
Join yellow. I don't know what that means though, but I guess you understand.
You understood now. I'm going to okay, I think I will. Sablu, we need to ask about those all those stimulus package by the Tinubu from Mayor as an economist. We were able to give us some.
That is why it's essential for everybody to monitor what is going on. Okay, if there's any form out there that they are collecting, don't get left behind. Okay.
No problem.
If there's any form out there they are collecting that need to help whatever you think you are doing, whatever business you have, whatever business mind you have, try and get involved. If you have to register a business, do it. If you have to, but start something, do something, get involved. So that because the issue of governance is this: whenever the government is doing something, you will see a lot of people complaining. You will see a lot of people not doing so. What is the difference? The difference is some people are really, really involved, while some people are staying, behind on the fence. Please don't miss out. Get involved. Get involved so that whatever is going on, you'll be part of it, and then you benefit from it. That is the essence of informing yourself about what the government is doing. Especially when Nigeria are criticizing government here and there now, and the last election. Trust me, this government of the day will try and force themselves to do things to satisfy Nigerians. They want to look good, okay? And as they are trying to look good, that means that's beneficial for the people. But you have to take advantage of it, and you have to know what is going on to take advantage of it. If you sit behind the wall and you don't know what is going on, how will you take advantage of it? And then it's going to be the same story every now and then. As much as Buhari is labeled as one of the worst, I know a lot of Nigerians who make it out of the nonsense. It's not because they are corrupt. It's not because they belong to any politicians. It's because they take advantage of the simple steps of things that they can take advantage of. So I'm just saying, you know, stop complaining. Do something. Help yourself. You understand me? You know, my brothers here, they do understand what I mean anyway. So going back on this issue of military regime in Africa, we are deliberating on it, Mayor. And Naija Swag, you are welcome too. Naija Swag, are you there? Anyway, if you are hearing me, you are welcome. So we are deliberating on the issue of military regime in Africa, taking over, you know, in most of the Francophone countries. It's like now becoming a virus, you know, taking over everywhere. And a lot of young people are actually clamoring for it. They want it, you know, even though they don't know what they're asking for. They don't know what they're asking for.
Yes, I'm here.
Taking over. Now, just what you have a very big delay. What's going on?
Then just why you are welcome.
She has a very big delay on that thing. I don't know why. Like the thing I've said a while ago, she's just picking it. I think Mayor.
I'm answering you immediately. I don't know what is happening.
There's a big delay. I don't know. Maybe you come out and come back in. Please come out and come back in, okay?
Let's hear from Sir Mayor.
Mayor has dropped though.
Oh my God.
So that means I'm coming back on you. I'm coming back to you. And
okay.
You know, we want to dwell on this briefly. Then we go to the Senate today.
Okay, I will do that.
We go to Senate today and see some of the way they finalize. You know, they're still coming back tomorrow, but what they did today, I'm a little bit impressive. I think there's an improvement on what they did today, you know, compared to what.
No. Okay, let's quickly deal with that. I'll answer that side.
I want us to be clear with this issue of a military regime before we move on.
Now, I think what we need to do now, people are saying that democracy is not ideal. Which government is very ideal? Those who are arguing that they should give us an ideal government then.
There's no ideal government. Even in America, people are complaining about the government.
It's inevitable. People must complain. We are human beings. People are complaining about God. They complain about Jesus Christ. They are complaining about Muhammad. That's nature of human being. That's nature of human being. But now people that are very rational thinker now, and those are the people that need to take bull by the horn by trying to evangelize this idea that military is not an option. That we should not even look at that direction. Now, how do we strengthen our democracy? How do we strengthen our institution? How do we ensure good governance take place? And these are the issues that have to be in our conversation now to ensure that people we are elected is working towards this direction. Because there's one thing that I discovered, we have got a particular party here. It's only people that are concerned, and those people that are concerned, they are the ones that put those people they want in power. But if the fate of leaders is determined by the majority of people, you discover that they are going to do the will of the majority. God, they knew if they failed to do the will of the majority, the door is wide open for them to go out. And that's why Africa need to wake up from their slumber and trying to find a means to strengthen democracy here. We are saying democracy is this and that. There is no government, there is no system of government that does not have their own defects. Even our own monarchy here, a good example, there is no king that emerged in a town now that will not resort into court cases. No one in Nigeria today that will not resort in court cases. That means they can be in court for good 20 years over a king position. Even the king sometimes have died, the case is still in court. And that's to tell you that even our monarchy system of government that we talk about, we are the one we have, is still problematic. And that's to tell you that democracy is the only government now that can give us the grace, an opportunity for the citizen to be part and parcel of the decision-making process in their country, and can able to have varieties of leaders we can choose from. And with this, the majority can able to determine who will be their leader, and that's good for the country because we can able to have our best brain in governance, like what we have in monarchy. If a king should give birth to Mumu, the Mumu will become president too. they will become head of state, and that country will become a Mumu country. Even those countries that are operating monarchy, how many of them are exceptional, except Morocco? Even Swaziland, what are they doing? They are seeing the doldrum of economy in Africa here. And please, I think my only suggestion, my only advice to people that Africans need to wake up and trying to be, awaken the consciousness of the people and find a means to strengthen democracy in their countries. How can they strengthen democracy in their country? One, good governance. Two, entrenchment of fundamental human rights. Promotion of that guarantees. Three, but ensure that the people aspirations are met by giving them a good life to live, providing a platform to able to stimulate their happiness, and that's it. If you can able to achieve all these things, that means what? People life are better off, and there's no need for them to be clamoring for involvement of military, which is very, very inimical to the growth of every country. I think these are the issues that Africa need to address all the time. Please, anybody that talks about the coming of military, that person is an enemy of that country. Let me bet you, the Niger you are seeing today, they are going to regret their action in the next 2 or 3 years. They are going to regret their action because like this bunch of military soldiers, they are all wars. What are they going to offer? What are they going to do? Are they going to perform miracle? Are they going to perform magic? No, they can't because they don't have anything to offer. Please, everybody, tell me any military, any company, military have heard and they have been stationed there. Give an example of one. I don't think anyone in this country. And that tells you that they are not trained to administer, except those ones that have been around for a long period of time and have acquired experience in the course of doing their job, of trying to be in public service. And that one would have able to help them become a good leader. And then that's why, please, everybody need to, all hands must be on deck, not to allow this taking over of African state by military to become a order of the day. And if we also trying to support that idea, we are only inviting trouble for ourselves. Thank you.
Mayor, you are welcome back. As usual. All right, thank you. Let's go back to this Senate sitting today, briefly. There's this last part that I want us to watch. I don't know what happened because I was in a different forum with Babati when it was taking place. So I just want to go over it briefly, if you don't mind.
Dear nominee, congratulations.
Are you hearing, guys?
Congratulations on your nomination by Mr. President.
Okay.
We have your resume. You may wish to just give a brief summary of
I want to be sure you are seeing this and you are hearing it clearly.
Take a few questions.
I'm hearing it.
Our
okay.
Colleagues.
Because I think the lady was in tears today for some reason. I don't know why. So that's why I'm going back to it.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I hope. All right. Your Excellency.
This man is not
Distinguished Senator, please, let's maintain order.
So what's the problem? Are they saying that she didn't do the prayer? Prayer she just did?
I don't even know. I didn't think so.
Of course, I don't know why, but the Senate usually have an opening prayer, like a proceeding. So they will have the opening prayer in most religions. So maybe they don't want her to repeat things.
Other distinguished principal officers of the Senate, the distinguished senators from Katsina State, Senator Abdul Aziz Adua, Senator Muntari Kandute, Senator Nasiru Zangwandora. May I also take a moment to specifically mention the female senators, Senator Banigo, Senator Adua, and Senator Ireti Kingibe. All distinguished senators of the federal cabinet, good evening. I am Hannatu Musa Musa Musawa. I would first of all like to express my sincere appreciation to this hallowed house for accommodating my participation in this crucial exercise for the evolution of our nation. First and foremost, I would like to praise the Almighty Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, for his blessing given to me and to our nation. May I state my sincere appreciation to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for considering me fit to be nominated as Minister
Mayor
for the
Lagos, we are
Republic
noise
of
coming
Nigeria.
from your side, please. Be
I
careful.
stand before you today, deeply touched and inspired
Yeah, we are
with a
hearing noise
profound
from your.
gratitude and a deep sense of purpose as I share
Why can't
my
I put
journey
the
with
center?
you. My journey thus far begins and ends with two stories of two African boys. The first is a tale of a little black boy born in the rural setting of Bichi in Kano State into a humble family that struggled to make ends meet. By accident of birth, he started off selling cola nut on the streets just to make ends meet. But by determination, courage, innovation, initiation, toil and focus, he found himself standing beside Malam Aminu Kano during the Northern Elements Progressive Union movement, studying at Cambridge University, speaking Mandarin, becoming one of the most prolific Northern politicians of his time, and empowering his children, especially his daughters. That man's name was Alhaji Musa Musawa, and he was my father.
Okay.
He passed on exactly 147 days ago, approximately 3,551 hours ago.
Okay.
As I stand here today, I do so in fulfillment of his journey, of his legacy, and of his effort. My greatest regret is that he is not alive to see his third-born daughter being screened as a ministerial nominee of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I grew up as a daughter of parents that cherished learning and believed in the power of justice to transform lives.
Okay. I see why she's
The
crying.
foundation bequeathed to me by the parents and community that brought me up planted in me a lifelong commitment to pursuing truth, fairness, and equality. Politics may mean different things to different people, but it has become another avenue for me to drive change. As reluctantly as I am to call myself a politician, however, when one has been an active participant in the political game for 21 years, one is forced to come to terms with the fact that, yeah, honey, you probably are a politician. My political journey started in December 2002 when I joined the Buhari organization. Okay. I started my story.
You see what I said yesterday. Now that they are trying to close out.
What we expect from you. What we expect from you is just verbal summary of yourself. My name is this, that not an address to the United Nations. So, and once you do that, you now wait for us to guide you as you progress. So I think you have done that.
And yeah, boy, don't they have like allotted time for the opening session, opening speech?
Thank you, Mr. President. My name again is Senator Ishaku Abo. I represent the good people of Adamawa North. Mr. President,
So their opening speech don't have like
I
maybe
want
10
to
minutes,
first of all
5 minutes or
thank President
whatsoever.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu for in the first time in the
Something is
history of
just
this
wrong with the
nation
proceeding in the Senate.
nominating 7 women at one fell swoop as ministers designate. Mr. President, we never had it this good. We must encourage women, our mothers, to participate in politics. and Mr. Tinubu have shown this commitment. By this, Mr. President, I call on my colleagues to please Haratu Musawa to take a bow and go. Thank you.
Quiet, though.
Naija.
Now, party now.
Naija na wahala. Oh.
That's the problem. Now, it don't become party. Because his father,
Senator Ismail Akawu.
our father is one of the prominent guys in Katsina State. That's why he was even nominated.
Nominated, yes.
Yes. Mr. President, my dear distinguished colleague, I am Suleiman Eka Usmaila, OFR.
Another take a bow and go.
Kano South Senatorial District. Mr. President, I want to establish from where my dear colleague, distinguished Senator Ishaq Abu stopped. This Hello Chamber, and of course, in the spirit of working together with the executive, with our president, I think we need to commend Mr. President, and in commending him again, we need to show it practically of supporting his nominee and allowed her to go or to take bow and go to support him. This will show how friendly, gender friendly the Senate are and our dear distinguished
we want you to be gender friendly, but you still have to do your job.
Secondly,
that young lady yesterday was great. And despite the question with aplomb.
Distinguished colleagues, I was.
Allow her to speak.
Went to this side. I listened to Senator.
It's beneficial for the Nigerians that are listening.
I listened to Senator Kau, and there seems to be unanimity of thought. Is it the view of this Senate that the nominee should be allowed to take a bow? Those who are in support say aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it.
Okay, that's why she's so
emotional. Nominee, congratulations. You may take a bow and go.
Okay, I see why she's so emotional. That's exactly what I wanted to. Yeah, because earlier when we were viewing it, I was busy holding the meeting on the other session, you know.
As the Senate leader.
Okay, so in order to just run, because she's the last person for the day, and then they will continue again tomorrow. And you know, if you are watching us, please join us tomorrow again as we hook up with the Senate proceeding of the screening of the nominees for the ministerial positions. As we have been saying yesterday, you know, J-Boy, is that the only problem I have with it is that they should just go ahead and ask the questions and do the job as we require them to do, as we expect them to do. You know, I'm not going by the whatever the proceeding is or whatever the rule in the Senate is. I'm just going by what Nigerians really want at this point in time, having gone through such a terrible governance in the past, especially the immediate past, I would say. You know, having gone through such an incompetent regime, you know, in the immediate past. I just want them to change things, you know, to start doing things differently. This regular routine of take a bow and go, you know, they need to stop it. They just need to. Yes, no matter how reputable that nominee is, or that no matter how weighty the credentials of that nominee is, Nigerians still want to hear from them. You know, the obligation is to Nigerians, not to the Senate. You know, because Nigerians elected you guys to be there, and they want to hear from these nominees. You know, They want to know them, and it's very, very painful for me as a person that the Senate president actually stopped her from expressing herself, because some of the things that she is saying actually attributes the humanity part of every one of these nominees. Let's get to know her. Let's get to see her, as she really is. And I don't think she should have been stopped. She should have
No,
just
no, no,
expressed
no.
herself.
It should have, no, no. It's not doing the right thing. Introduce yourself. That's the question they asked her. She failed woefully. As if I should have been I should have been examiner. I would have, if you have gotten 20 over 100. Introduce yourself. You are addressing people.
The DJ boy, you are a principled guy. You are always by the book. But let me tell you one reality. Let me tell you one reality about life. Life is never by the book. When you go for a training out in there, when you come out to actually practice those things that you are trained to do, you have to be realistic. And realistic means you have to be flexible. You see, when she got up, start saying those things, even though that is not the protocol, that is the human part of Senate. That is the human part of us, to carefully listen, unless they are rushing, they want to go to their dinner, or whatever they are rushing to. I don't see a reason why they should stop her. I just don't, because at the end of the day now, they were able to save enough time that they didn't save with other candidates. No question was asked. So that means the only opportunity Nigerians had is to hear her, and they stopped her. Rule is rule, but then we have to apply some flexibility.
I think I understood what you're talking about. That you have allowed her to, is just going off point. Now, what you have done by the time you stopped her from based on even the assertions of the president Akpabio, saying you are addressing as if you are addressing the United Nations, which I had to find so funny.
No, I think it was wrong, because she was talking about herself. She wasn't addressing anything. She was talking about, the forum is to meet her, right? To introduce herself. And I think the story she's going about is about herself. She's not talking about somebody else.
But the problem now is that no question was posed to her. That's problem. And yesterday, they are talking about gender some stuff. The doctor, the youngest among 36 years old girl, was asked question. They asked question from her, which brilliantly answered. And that tell you, this is a testimony of that means being at that position is not a fluke. And that's the same thing should have repeated to her as well too.
I think let me give you another example today. When Rufai was actually questioned, one of the senators got up and asked Rufai about his baggage. That is some of the petitions that came into the Senate.
Okay.
And other people ask a different question. So when Rufai had the opportunity to respond, he actually addressed other questions. But on the final note, he said, let me address the issue of petition that you received. And then the next thing, the Senate leader, the president, just said, no. And in fact, they have to actually turn off his mic, as in literally turn off his mic. This is what I'm saying. If the guy is willing to let us hear something about that petition, let him talk. Let him talk. I just want these Senate to actually be about Nigeria and not about themselves. Period.
But now look at that one. He was able to answer that question brilliantly today. These are most of the questions they asked from him has to dwell on power.
I know. I'm not talking about the question about power. I'm talking about the question about his petitions.
And that's what I'm saying now. Even the Senate themselves, it seems they are there just for fun's sake. They are just caricature. That's the interpretation I'm seeing.
You say, don't we need to change that?
Well, there's a need for us to change the approach. It's idea. Nobody's contesting that one. You just idea. Most of them are just on serious. Even one of them, sometimes even the question they are asking sometimes is watery. No intellectual tones. Sometimes in the question.
Incoherence.
Actually,
they don't know how to gather their thoughts, and the question you will deduce some sense in it, but they don't know how to put it out.
they are giving you this CV. Let's say they are lazy. That's just interpretation. I saw one there was even one was there the other time. Take a bowl and go. Take a bowl and go. I was laughing. He said, "Take a bowl and go."
That's how we understand. My brother, English is not our language, okay?
To leave that one, Jaresa Blue. I was not going to school. Was it? What is that?
Take a bow tie.
Take a bow.
It's all well and good, because I just think, I don't want Nigerians to get used to this casual way of doing things, and
it's not ideal. Only that I did not watch the Wale doing, but I said the guy was for good to us. Him.
Because they care about money.
They knew that they have the mindset that will be the one that will handle the
issue of money.
Ministry of Finance. They were born now.
They don't care about money, and that's why they grill him for so long.
I was listening to the commentary of the analysts by the time they went for the sense the other time, that it was there for good trust, grilling him concern foreign exchange, how to grow the economy, and so on and so forth. Now, it's not the same thing. No, it's not. He is a nominee too. Shebili Sumatu is also a nominee. Why can't you apply the same
measure? The same measure. It's not as if they don't. It's not as if they don't know Edu now. They know
Edu. Can interpret a lot of things to all those things. People can say, okay, they are doing partial. At least these are where the issue, all these things always come from. That they are being biased.
And I know they are not being biased. They just worry about their money. Period. That's their major concern. And the guy is the one who is going to be signing the checks. So I don't know. I mean, they know Wale Edu now. They know him. All of them know him. And they know this guy is more than capable. They are not worried about that, But because if you see the nature of the questions, you see that the question, from the beginning, we air it now. We air it on Okito TV. If you see the nature of the question from the beginning, you see that it's rigmaroling around what they are actually interested in, and how he can ascertain that the spending is going accordingly. More especially, is going according to the old tradition. I'm pretty much sure that that guy is going to change things. The only reasonable question today I see so far from what they asked Edu is that of the separation of power between the CBN and the Ministry of Finance, which we haven't experienced in a long while, due to problem of Emefiele in CBN. As a matter of fact, I don't even know if the Minister of the Ministry of Finance is actually existing under Emefiele. Nobody knows that.
It's a woman now. It's one woman. And the woman is somehow incompetent. Sorry to use that word.
No, don't say she's incompetent. I believe she is. But she's keeping her mouth shut because she's getting what she wants. She's not there for us. That's what mostly happens when you have a leader that are not doing anything. When your leader is not doing anything, that means he or she is not there for the people. He's there for himself or herself.
But
if a leader is there,
it was not the same thing under Kemi Adeosun.
You see what I'm saying now? If a leader is there for the people, once they are putting all the proposals that is wrong, that is not likely to favor the people, guess what happens? There will be fight, and before you know it, she's going to be fired, or he's going to be fired, or she will quit or quit. That's what usually happens. But when you see a particular minister sticking through all the things that Emefiele did, then you know that she doesn't really care. So,
but no. She rejected the proposal of all the policy of Emefiele.
but she did not resign. Did she?
That's a taboo in Africa.
You know, you should have.
That's a taboo in Africa.
You see the problem? You should have just abandoned the mantle and make a protest. Show the country that this is why you are abandoning it. You know?
No.
So that
even our husband would rebuke her.
You see, you're talking about her husband. What about her father? What about her children? What about uncles and sisters and aunties that sent her there? You see,
they will scorn that for being mumu.
See, and that is why we need to change the face of things in Nigeria, in Africa generally, how we see things, especially when people are given responsibility of power or of services. Don't start seeing it as a tree of dollar or money for your family, as if, oh, this is a good news for everybody in the family. Now I cannot do this, I cannot do that as the wife or as the husband. Now I cannot do this, I can do that as the uncle or the nephew. You know, but that's what usually happens whenever somebody is being appointed to a particular position in Africa. What do we do as family? We start celebrating. Tell me what you are celebrating. Celebrating.
What do we bring to the table now?
You know,
what do we bring home?
And that's the problem. And that's the problem. That's the major problem. You know, we really need to change that mentality of our leaders choosing to serve themselves. You know, because they only serve themselves and serve their family, and then forget that there are millions of other people in the country that they have to, you know, to attend to. You know, and that is why we have this culture that anytime we have a family member becoming a minister, we throw a party. You know, we call musicians and start dancing around because we know
the party alone. No,
you
are going to see a lot of advertisements on radio, television congratulating. Because of the goodie that is going to bring out of it.
That is going to come, you see, and that is one thing we need to change. You know, we are not saying that even in the Western culture things like that doesn't happen, but we have to change that particular culture up to an extent, so that we will have beliefs and trust in those people we elect into power or we appoint into places of power or ministries. Because you guys are going there to serve the people. Always remember that. Always remember that. Unfortunately, you know, that's where we find ourselves. And that is why, you know, you are hearing of military regime here and there in Africa. You know, now those of you that still have opportunity to keep that power, make sure you use it well.
Let me tell you one thing. There's one thing that when they announced this woman, I can't remember her name, from Delta State. Come and see the way she was dancing when her name was announced as one of the nominees. See a lot of screaming was speaking in tongue. I saw the video.
Well, I mean, I don't really have a problem with that because she's praying, so we don't know what she's saying in tongue. You know,
oh, don't forget about that one. She was happy that her name was nominated.
Definitely, I think that anybody will be happy. I think even in the Western world, if you are being nominated as the minister, you will be happy. You know, but it's just that there is undertone to that of Africa. Undertone. You know, that whenever you are being nominated for something like that, oh, that means a larger bread, a larger pie, a larger pizza for the rest of your family.
Let me give you an example. There was one man that was a commissioner in Lagos State, commissioner of transport. He has his brothers in UK. Was in UK. Come back, come, Joe. What are you doing there? You are just suffering yourself. Come back to Nigeria. The guy came back here to go and be his PA. Someone that is in the UK, together with he brought him back home to come and do what? When the guy came, he went to go and build a house in an high-broad environment, not even local area, in high-broad area, house in Lagos. And by the time he was leaving, by the time he came in, he rented a house. That's one of my daddy's friend's house. When he was going, he did not pick ordinary cup from the house to the new house he was going. He bought everything new to the house. I need to give you an ideas of why people are always desperate to be in that position. To resign in Africa is a taboo.
You see?
You see?
It's a taboo in Africa. You know,
You
they
see?
see it as a means of enriching themselves, of trying to build themselves out of I don't want to call it poverty, but just to enrich themselves.
We are talking of ministers now. We're not even talking about the ambassadors to different countries. Do you imagine what those people are reaping?
The same thing also repeats itself.
What those people are reaping from the country whenever they have those appointments.
Those are now. I was listening to Bernard Kabuse today. He said the overall health cost now is costing them 5 trillion naira.
Oh my goodness! Oh my!
It's costing them 5 trillion naira. I was listening to him.
Oh my goodness!
Today.
Why do we have to spend that kind of money on what?
He was telling me that it was saying that like it was 6 years ago it was 1 trillion, but now we are now 5 trillion.
Oh,
and that means what? We don't have any option than to remove the subsidy. How government will able to cope with this expenditure?
They can't. We cannot. That's the problem, and that's why we have to slash all those expenditures. All those government spending has to be cut down. All those spending, all those allocations they have for offices. Now they have 70 billion allocated to the house, and they are talking about replacing computers, replacing. Are you kidding me? How much are you going to spend in replacing office materials?
Like how many they want to replace?
In a glass house. If you are going to replace all the office materials in a cocoa house, how much are you going to spend? You know, how many senators do we have? How many staff do they have? Each one of them.
You can't have more than 5.
You know, even if they have 10, 70 billion.
Very outrageous.
You know, this is what we have to put sense into doing things. We are all managers, smart people. You know, stop just allocating unnecessary funds here and there.
They are just insulting us.
You know, as if Nigerians are fools. You know,
exactly. That's what they equate with.
We know what is going on. Yeah, you know what is going on. And when a Nigerian come out and tell everybody the whole world that you are stealing, you'll be fighting. You'll be fighting back like, oh, why would you say that? That's an insult. You know, but guess what? You know, 1 is equal to 1. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. But in your own case, when 1 plus 1 is already equal to 5, you know, we know what that means. We can translate what that means. It means a lot of money is going where it's not supposed to go. You know, and all this culture has to be stopped. Has to be stopped. You know. I don't know why any one of them is so surprised that we are having military taking over here and there. You know, even though that is not the right answer to Nigeria or Africa problem, but you keep having all these military springing up because of these stories of bad leadership. You know, unless you are able to fix it and actually become real managers of government, who is actually attributing cost in the right manner, so that there will always be benefits more than cost, not cost above the benefit. What kind of economist are you when your cost is always above the benefits? If there's any economic measure that you are spending too much on, and there's revenue not coming in equally, or at least revenue be more than the cost, you abandon it and go for another project, and stop wasting allocations, revenues here and there. And that is what we always get from these leaders. Now, let me tell you one thing. Dear boy, are you back?
I am back. Oh.
You know, on the last regime, which is Buhari regime, all the senators of that night assembly, they all left. Some of them that leave the office, they left with someone. You know, that is exactly what Oshomole got in trouble for saying. That they left with some of the equipment, some of the office equipment, the computer, the stationery and all those things that is in the office. The office became empty. Trust me, who removed those things? Who removed it? You are the last man in the office who is locking the office before you leave. And then when we open the office, nothing is left. And yet, nobody is asking questions. Nobody is dragging them back. But Tinubu easily allocate or release another fund for them to go and replace those things. You see where the problem is now? Eh?
Tell me it's going to cost Nigeria more to go after those people who remove those office equipment and at least retrieve them back.
When they are not, let me tell you one thing. If there is no punitive measure for doing the wrong things, it will continue to, that thing will continue to perpetuate itself. That's the implication.
That's
these are not the set of people that are going to do it. And that's why the same problem is still repeating itself again. If this one also end their own tenure and some of them do not come back again, the something will continue to exist. And that's the problem. And that's why we need to sit down and try to trash it out. How do we want to govern ourselves? Because we are just hovering around the point, and we're at the point of stagnation. We are not moving forward. No creativities in governance, no innovations, no determination, no discipline in the area of finances. And yet we are still wallowing in abject poverty.
They're not even acting smart.
Exactly. And most of the people are wallowing in abject poverty. And it still continue unabated as well. And you believe a time will come, people will revolt against you. And by the time they revolted against you, there's nothing you can do. You can't stop them. Well, I always say,
of course, they ask for it. They ask for it.
They can't be bigger than their country. It's not possible for a leader to be bigger than his follower. It's never done anyway. I remember you all knew the story of revolution in France, how the king was beheaded. It's not just to tell you. Look at the story of happened in Sri Lanka too. It just like last year. At least to tell you that when people turn against you, you are a gunner. And that's why there's a need for us, there's a need for all these leaders to be conscious of this. Don't make us be as if you are a fool. Do the right thing. Give people a better life to live. And they are not asking too much from you. I think these are the issues now that we have to use this forum to promote. And our leaders will be conscious of. Because, oh my God, you are pushing them to the wall. By the time they turn back against you, they will consume you.
And that's the shocking thing you just said, that we are not asking for too much. Most of these things we need to survive as a nation in Africa, in Nigeria, they are basic things. They are very simple things.
And we have the means to do it.
It's not going to take too much.
And we have the means to do this thing.
You know? What is really painful here is that you guys are busy taking more from these countries, and you are not providing these basic things, these little things that people need to actually transform their life. You are not doing it. You are not doing it. It doesn't take much. Trust me. It doesn't take much to actually show you are flexing as a leader. You look at the River State governor. You know, his own state are singing his praise. You know, but guess what? We are still living in a town of rulers who are blind, and then they call the town the town of the blinds. You know, because our leaders are blind, they now refer to us as the town of the blinds. It's not everybody in the town that are blind. Most people can see, but because your rulers there are blind, what did they say? They said the town of the blinds, and that's the problem. When Wike, finished his tenure in River State, everybody was singing his praise in Rivers because he built a lot of flyovers. But if we are in a society of leaders that know what they are doing, trust me, nobody will be celebrating Wike, because what he did is nothing. It's just basic. I don't think there's anything to celebrate there. He just did the needful, the basic things that that need to be done. Good roads, power stability, and agricultural production. Promote it so that people will have avenue to good food. That's all American government did. They didn't do anything special here. Trust me. All the money you are making, you are paying bills with it anyway, and yet nobody is complaining. Guess what? You are having food on your table every night. There's a shelter. There is clothing. So why are people complaining? They're not going to complain. But if we look deeply into American system, we say that, look, people are not really living a satisfactory life. They're not really. Most people are going from paycheck to paycheck. But people are not complaining. Why? Because at least they have those basic amenities, those basic things in life. And I believe that Nigerian government or African government have the means to provide these things. Even if they're gonna steal whatever they want to steal, you still have to pay attention to doing the needful, the little things that can actually transform people's life. You know, and that is exactly what is becoming painful in the whole scenario. The fact that all they know is take things through the back door, never fixing any problem. If they allocate 1 million naira to fix a particular project, you know what will happen? Everybody from bottom all the way to the top, they will share that 1 million between themselves, and that project will be left undone. That is the culture of leadership in Africa. As a matter of fact, before the money is allocated, guess what? The person who is being allocated that particular project is already giving bribes here and there before getting that project. 1 million naira project, he already offered bribe all the way up to 600,000 to people. And when the 1 million came in, guess what? He's holding on to it. There's no project to be done because the actual money he needs to use for the project has been spent on bribery in order to be able to get that particular project. That's the tradition that our leaders have. Unless we cocktail that and shut it off immediately, nothing is going to happen. And I fear all this money that Tinubu is saying he's making now within a few months, if he doesn't have his eye like that of an owl to monitor here and there, nothing is going to change. They will take that money and the money will vanish right in front of his eyes.
Even now, it's even want to give a kind of a infrastructural money to the state governors, and that's always been my worry. The state governors are monumental failure in Nigeria. I will not miss word to say that.
State, I don't think it's an overstatement, and it's not an understatement. Monumental failure. All the state government, they are not doing the right. Not let alone the local government. Don't forget we have local government that
no local government in Nigeria.
So you said.
No local government in Nigeria. Why we just have extensions of governor's office in local area? I will tell you. You should ask me the reason. How many states conducted local government election in Nigeria? That's one. Even by the time they conducted local government election, did they release their fund to them? No. They will be the one to just give them.
Don't say they don't release fund. They always give them fund as long as that money is for them to share, so that they can keep their mouth shut permanently.
That's just the implication. They just give them just pantry. You take this one, go and use this one for something like this. That's all. And you're telling their assistant where you can manage your finances, you can't manage your administration. Are they existing that? Is that what we call existence? I don't believe that. A husband without a means to take care of his family, can you call that one an husband? I don't think that.
And J-Boy, that is why I always say all this noise we are all this noise that is going around on social media, on the platforms, different here and there. We need to narrow it. Okay? Don't make it about the federal government alone.
Like what? Yesterday, I want to raise that issue yesterday. People don't know anything. They are just allow emotions to drive their decision, to affect their to affect their opinion. Because they believe that Tinubu, that's all, Buhari, that's all. But even the basis, we're not even talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my point now. Now, I was discussing with my uncle in UK the other time. He was telling me the kind of education, my friend, what kind of education they are having in UK. A kid, by the time they teach him like 2 or 3 subjects in a day, the next thing that they will just give him television, he'll be able to watch television, and that is what I'm going to give to him, listen to news at a tender age. Now, and by the time they do that for a long period of time, they will have succeeded in trying to do what? Awaken the consciousness of that kid.
Mm-hmm.
But that means that kids will be informed. They have already what? Trying to get a mind connected that these are the things you must be conscious of in your life. Mm-hmm. And with that, it's already informed and it will not be deformed. But in this part of this world, you know, I mean, even those ones that are studying political science, like my people that I do, I have many people that they don't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
What they do when we are in school just to read and pass, that's all.
I tell you, you had me on the other time when I was saying,
yes,
you know, even kids that are in political science class, when you start discussions about politics, some of them are not interested.
they don't. They only just to read and pass. Read the
You
theory,
know,
that's all. They pass.
and yet you want to
But
solve
the
the problem
nitty
of the
gritty,
country.
you don't.
I don't get it.
And most of them now, by the time you are trying to educate them, give them kind of piece of information, they'll just try, because the sentiment, the badness in them have already affected their decision. And that one, they are deformed. And these are the issues people don't understand it now. Because now, for example, now, look at agriculture, which is under concurrent list. That is, both federal government and state government can also legislate on that. Now go around your states. I have never seen a single state that have a good agricultural policy. What they were talking about is federal government. And yet you say you are autonomous, you are a state, and you are collecting allocation and you're also generating your own revenue. Tell me now how your agricultural sectors is growing. This is the fact that, number one, it is state that owns the land. Two, every state has a peculiarity, and yet you are not taking advantage of that to try to promote certain agricultural practices in your area that has a comparative advantage. And these are the issues that have been besieging us from 1999, and we are not looking at that direction. Look at what this guy did in Cross River, Dunaduk. I think you see a legacy there in that place. And if the government can be able to sustain that momentum now, I'm very sure that place will have become a kind of a tourist center for the whole Africa now. I think these are the issues that we need to also put our governors on their toes. People will not just blame Buhari because they don't understand what went through under his administration. Buhari
Do you know how much money Buhari is dishing out to all the states?
Exactly.
Especially the southeast that is saying they are being marginalized. Do you know how much Buhari is giving all their governors?
Only thing I don't have the facts with me, but I know that they collected money more than 3 or 4 times. Bailout, Paris fund, and what's the result? Nothing.
And it's very easy during Buhari because Buhari is not asking any question. He just give it out. He give it out. He's not going to ask any question. And yet your leaders are taking the money. They do whatever they like with it. And then who do you blame? Buhari. But you are forgetting that you have leaders in the grassroots levels.
Okay, for example, now you are a guy to me. I want to give my family money. Yeah, who are you going to give it to? You give it to me.
Yeah, the family owner, the family holder now, the family head. You know,
you give it to me, and now it's not left for me now to use that money to take care of my family. That is the implication, and the constitution does not even allow him to interfere in the affairs of the state.
Of course,
because I remember those days during the Obasanjo era, the governor took him to court that he's interfering, he's trying to keep money.
You know, because he's trying to monitor how they spend it. And
the court said you don't have the right. The court told him bluntly that they are autonomous on their own. They are a component unit in the federal system, but you don't have right to supervise how they spend their money. That's the implication.
Of course, that's how the system works. Okay, the state has autonomous power, you know. But who is going to ask these questions? These guys all over the place on the platform, on the social media, you know, querying the federal government every day. Look around. There's somebody in your state who is actually siphoning all your progress. Ask him some questions too. And that way, there will be an oversight that is covering all over the place, not just narrowed on the federal government. That's what I think they do.
And that's why there's a need for us to educate ourselves. All the time we need to put ourselves on increase our awareness among the Nigerian youth to know that we need to also be searchlight on the activities of our state governors to know what they are doing. Let me give you an example. People are talking about Jonathan. Jonathan failed woefully. But what happened under Jonathan? Jonathan had one of the best governors this Nigeria had at that time. Especially in Lagos, Aregbe in Osun State, Mimiko in Ondo State. They were fantastic. They did well. Not by now. And nobody cared about the failure of Jonathan. Because Jonathan did not commission a single project. Jonathan did not commission a single project. And to tell you how woeful he is, how woeful he was. But the governor was doing well. And people are looking at their governors. And that's exactly this is the direction. But now, the body was doing well to a certain extent, but the governor was woeful. And who take the blame? The leader, the president. And that's the situation.
And in a governmental system, all the parts of the machine has to be working well. Every part of the machine has to work well. It doesn't matter what the federal government or the president is doing. If we are not asking the right question from the state government and parastatals, nothing is going to function. And at the same time, if your state and local parastatals are doing the right thing, we have to ask the question from the central, which is the president and the federal government. Ask the questions all over. Call their names into questioning every now and then. Have a particular platform that is representing each state. You know, let's have a platform out there that is calling out on those states, that is calling out Enugu, that is calling out Akwa Ibom, all these states individually, that is actually putting a searchlight on what they are doing.
Let me add one to it. When during the OBGA time then, you want to ensure that the money being given to the state government are published. Let me tell you, they fought it to stand still. They fought it to stand still. That you should not do it. Why are you hiding? The money given to you is not your money. It's a state money. Let the state know the amount you are giving to somebody they elected to govern them. You know, it's a bad situation. I don't know how we are going to try to rescue ourselves from this waywardness of these leaders. It's something that's very sorry indeed. Because the money you are holding in trust for certain people, but let us know the amount of money being given to you, and you are saying no. Because by the time they are doing that, people can be able to scrutinize the activities. Okay, Oga, you have collected this amount of money for a whole year. This is how much you have collected. They know how much you are paying for salary. You know what you can be able to do with other money you are less for with you.
People need to be asking questions.
You can be able to ask questions, but they said no. They said it's no. They fought him tooth and nail. You know, like I always told you that the governors are the emperor, because the president only exists at the mercy of the governor. And that's the scenario. I think.
And of course, before you can ask questions, you need to get yourself informed.
Okay? Prof. J.
Mayor, you are welcome.
What happened?
They go, they come.
Mayor.
Now it's gone. Now it's gone again.
Yellow. Come on, yellow.
Oh, better. So, you know, in order to be able to monitor and scrutinize this government or call them out, you have to get yourself informed. You know, Nigerian youth need to change the way they are doing things. You know, the NSAR movement actually achieved a lot of results. People just don't know. They don't realize. Yes, we have a lot of losses, you know, which is by human casualties, you know, good, the number of young people who lost, who lost the battle, you know, being, fatally, you know, they lost the battle fatally, you know, but that shouldn't be the end of good movements like that in Nigeria. At least, you know, there's no such today in Nigeria, and then the government are taking caution and they're watching, and that is why I need people to keep talking, to keep agitating, agitate properly. Not don't call for anybody to get involved in violence, because that's not going to help anybody. Trust me, it's not going to help anybody. And I hate the fact to say this, that most people that are here that have been calling for violence so far are people who live in abroad. You cannot live in the other side of the country and be calling for people to go and fight. while you are sitting there with your family in abroad. Don't do that, please. Don't do that. It's very wrong. It's very selfish. You know, don't do that. We don't want to be that type of person who is calling on Nigerians to go ahead and fight when you are sitting outside the country. Don't do that. Stop. Completely shut it down. Don't be that kind of selfish people who ask other people to go and get involved in how they're gonna get themselves, injured or worse, fatal. Whereas you are sitting outside the country, promoting these kind of ideas. Please don't do it. The only thing we can do is to raise our voice. They will pay attention. The NSAS movement did achieve a lot of results. I don't think Nigerian law is against anybody going on the street and going about it peacefully. The more we keep doing that, they will be embarrassed. You get it into their face, they will be embarrassed. And they will be sitting tight once in a while and do the right thing. That's all we can do. I'm not going to charge any kid out there to go and fight. Please don't do it. Don't do it. Don't get involved in anything violence, because your mama and papa need you. They need you. They need you to survive. They need you to become somebody. A lot of these people who sit in abroad and be calling you to go and fight, they have already achieved a lot of things in their life. Trust me. They'll achieve a lot of things in their life, and they will never ask their kids to go to Nigeria and go and fight for anything. But it is easy for them to ask you to go and fight. And that is why I'm begging you, don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. Once they tell, if they tell you everything good, once they step over to start asking you to go and be violent, please cut it off and move on, because that's not the right person in your life. These people sit there in UK, in Finland, in America, and be asking Nigerians to go and get involved in violence. But they're not going to do it, because guess what? Most of them have moved all their family with them in abroad. Their papa, their mama, their grandpa, their grandma, everybody is there with them in abroad. And then they will be telling you to go and get involved in violence. Don't listen to them. These are very wicked people. Do not listen to them. Don't pay attention to them at all. They don't want good for you. Okay? Now, one thing we can always agree on is to raise our voice. Raise our voice. Somebody is listening. They will listen. They will pay attention. And we can make change with that. A lot of changes have been made around the world by people who actually clamor and raise their voice so high. And that's why we need to come together in one voice and speak truth to power. Okay? That's the only thing I can charge you to do. Speak up. Speak up. Don't keep quiet. Silence is not an option. Speak up, please. Now, J-Boy, over to you.
Well, you have expressed virtually everything. But the only thing that is now left for us is to ensure that we nurture our democracy and guard it jealously. And our leaders will be conscious that the youth are on the wing watching, and they are watching with their eagle eyes, trying to keenly scrutinize the activities. Because, like I always have said all this while, that our leaders are the problem of our countries. Because they need to be exemplary in their conduct, in their ways of life, to show an example, and others can able to follow them. But recently, like the youth are now trying to be are waking up. Because before they are very docile, particularly docile. The political apathy on their side is something that's worrisome. But the emergence of NSA movement, I think that ones are waking up, are waking their consciousness, and they are able to send that signal to the president. Because I remember in the acceptance speech of President Tinubu, he said that he has acknowledged the youth have spoken, and that it will not disappoint them. And let's now wait and try to hold him by his word, and to see how he's going to able to achieve that by trying to pay attention. Especially the high rate of unemployment among the youth is very alarming. How we're able to achieve make a substantial progress in that direction by providing quality job for the people. Don't give empowerment. Ensure they have access to means of livelihood that can able to enhance their standard of living. I think these are issues we need to do. And all and sundry, our governors, to me, they are the most lazy set of leaders we have in the world. They don't have any form of creativities. They only add and what we call it. They only go to Abuja every month to go and collect money and dole it out to their civil servants and pick the money in their pocket. No economic activities in their state, no governance, no system, no government. They are most of them are just they are just enjoying themselves.
All right, thank you very much, J-Boy. You're back, right? Hello, I think J-Boy, you're off. All right, in the meantime, please, I will leave you with how we begin today. We started today with the Senate questioning Wale Edun and His Excellency El Rufai. I will leave you with that video so you can enjoy it while we close for the day. But what I would say on the final note is that please join us on a daily basis at 2 p.m. New York times, and then 7 p.m. Nigerian time for Naija Palava. Naija Palava is a discussion between Salah Blue, J-Boy, and others. But as well, you can join in. We always send a link. You can join us on the forum and contribute your input, submit your input. The voice is very necessary. Please don't be silent. Join us and actually contribute your voice. Because one way or the other, somebody is paying attention, and you don't know who that person may be. It may be somebody who can actually make an impact in Nigeria, who can actually change things, and they are listening to us, and that's all we can do. Keep our voice raised. Raise it up high and let them hear you, so that they start paying attention and start doing the right thing. Enough of these foolish leaders in Africa who always care about their pockets, who always care about their interests and never care about the people. We need leaders who will step up, who will start attributing every effect that they can to people's life and change things and start making life better for people in Africa. There's a lot of suffering, and this needs to stop. This needs to stop. It makes us look bad. It makes us look completely barbaric, like we don't know what we are doing. Of course, we do know what we are doing. A lot of us that are in this diaspora know that the Western world really respect us. They respect our brain, and that is why we are in so many offices, sectors here and there in the Western world, doing things in hospitals, in different sectors. Performing wonders. If they don't really respect what we have to offer, they won't hire us, and that is why we need to respect what we have too. In Africa, we have a lot of smart people, even in this leadership. There are a lot of them that are smart, but they're not doing the right thing. That's just the problem. We need to actually redirect their eyes to doing the right thing for the people, so that at least people will be able to have a little benefit of what they are doing. And don't just go there and start thinking about your family. You have a lot of number of people to answer to, millions of Nigerians, millions of Africans to answer to. Don't let the leadership be about you and your family. Don't be dreaming about building some massive mansion that costs a lot of dollars in your village, so that your people will be praising you as Babao, Yao. That's not what leadership is about. Do things that people will remember you by. And I'm sorry to say, when this guy was so and so, he did a lot of good things for the people. And that's exactly what we need to start realizing, turning our eyes to the real target, which is helping the people. J-Boy, I wish you were back in time, but if not, one of our guests that usually be on the show daily is J-Boy. He's a political analyst, and this guy is has a lot of things to offer as far as fact and analysis, and that is why I always direct your attention to come and actually indulge in this, so that you can benefit from some of our analysts that are dishing out fact and good information out there. We're not just dishing out information. These informations are embedded in fact and serious research. And that is why on this platform we are different. We're not going to tell you if it is not true. We're not going to tell you if we are not sure of it. We don't say it at all. If we're not sure of it, don't bring it up. Don't bring it up. It's not allowed here. You got to be sure of it. You have to do your research and make sure it's fact. Then you can tell people. You can tell people. So whenever you hear it, don't question it, because we know what we are doing here. Okay? We do a lot of research. We have people in different departments that actually give us these informations, and we rely on them. So rely on us. We can give you what is expected. And all we need is to direct our attention towards actually getting a good governance in Africa. I will leave you with this video earlier today of the Senate actually questioning Wale Edun, who is being proposed, I guess, is being proposed for the Ministry of Finance. The reason why I say guess is because up until now, there's no particular announcement about the portfolio of individual nominees. So we are only suspecting that they will have this particular ministry based on the question that they have been received. So I'll leave you with the video
it is
earlier today.
In such directions,
thank you for listening, and
that the
thank you for joining
solution
us.
to the overhang, to the shortage of liquidity in the foreign exchange market
is being sought. The whole gamut, including increases in oil production as a result of greater security. It is difficult to predict because the markets, the capital markets, take on a psychology of their own. But I would just like to warn that all the models are showing that the fundamental value of the Naira should be somewhere around 700. So therefore, a note of caution to the speculators. As liquidity flows in and the rate comes rapidly down, there's a chance that they could lose their shirts. It's just a warning. Your Excellency, you did raise the issue of the Consolidated Revenue Fund. You did raise the issue of adherence to the Constitution. His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is a Democrat. He's someone that believes in federalism. He believes in true fiscal federalism. He believes in the rule of law. And so it is my belief that he would not countenance or knowingly spend or authorize to be spent funds that have not been duly appropriated by this august body and others who are so authorized to do. Thank you.
Mike. I can imagine that you can't wait to go. Think about. Thank you. On the other side, thank you for the elucidation on a lot of issues. The Senate leader. Bye. the nominee before us is well known to all of us. So, Your Excellency, you are welcome. You may wish to add a few, just a kind of summarized version of your resume. And then thereafter take questions from the distinguished senators. The floor is yours.
Your Excellency, Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, my name is Nasir Ahmad El-Rufai. I am standing before you as a result of being nominated to be a minister of the government of the Federation. I was born about 63 years ago in Daudawa, a village in Katsina State, and I attended primary school in Daudawa and Kao, Kaduna, then went to Barewa College between 1972 and 1976. Completed the West African School Certificate and went to Ahmadu Bello University, where I graduated in 1980 with a degree in quantity surveying. 2 years later, I went back to school to get a master's in business administration from the same university, Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. And a year later, completed a postgraduate diploma in computer science. Subsequently, in years ahead, I got a law degree from the University of London and NLB from University of London, a master's in public administration from Harvard University Kennedy School of Government. I started my business as a consulting quantity surveyor in 1981 after completing my youth service in Ogun State, and I served in Abeokuta with a company called George Wimpy Nigeria Limited, then building the Oyan River Dam. I worked for a few months, the construction company building the ABU Teaching Hospital before establishing the quantity surveying consulting firm, Erufai and Partners. The firm still exists. It's one of the largest quantity surveying firms in the country. It's being run by my partners. I left the firm since 1998 when I was asked by General Abdul Salam Abubakar to be one of his policy advisors after the death of General Sani Abacha. During the handover to President-elect Obasanjo, the President-elect promised me that he would want to invite me to work with him when he takes over, and he did. I was appointed the Director General of the Bureau of Public Enterprises, where I was tasked to kickstart the federal government privatization program, which had been suspended since 1993. During that period, for the next 4 years from 1999, I was in charge of the program. And it was during this period that we privatized most of the banks, commercial banks, cement, sugar companies, vehicle assembly plants. And we also designed and steered the reforms in key sectors like telecommunications, which turned out to be quite successful. We also started reforms in the electricity supply industry and oil and gas. In fact, the first draft of what turned out to be the Petroleum Industry Act was drafted by the BPE when I was in charge. Some of the distinguished senators here were either in the House of Representatives or in the executive branch, like distinguished Senator Goje, who was Minister of State for Power. We all worked together to steer these reforms ahead. I was then appointed
on the person standing before us, Chief Uchennaji. Chief Uchennaji, like we all know, is a visionary industrialist, oil and gas expert, a pro-democracy activist. This young man, at a very young age, was detained by Abacha This young man, he won a senatorial seat. He was senator-elect in 1999, but because of his loyalty, he bequeathed that seat for Chief Jim Nwobodo. He was also the gubernatorial candidate of APC in 2023. I urge my distinguished colleagues to please give him the honor of bowing and go. Thank you.
Distinguished Senator Osutangu.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am still Osita Ngu. I'm here on behalf of the people of Enugu West. Mr. President, thank you also for the privilege to speak about and to the nominee from the coal city, Chief Uche Geoffrey Nnaji. We call him Nwakibie. Mr. President, when the President announced Nwakibie as the nominee from Enugu State, the state went in rejoicing mood. Everybody is happy. And the three senators from Enugu, even though none of us is from his party, are all in support. Mr. President, he is not just a politician. In fact, we know him less as a politician because he's a philanthropist, an industrialist, and in several sectors that he touched, he opened up his business. He's a managing director in about 5 companies that are doing extremely well. He is one of the nominees of Mr. President that has distinguished himself in the private sector. He is a construction expert. He is a health expert in aspect of health infrastructure. He's an oil and gas magnate, distinguishing himself in agriculture, and here, he is here in this hallowed chamber to be confirmed. Your Excellency, Mr. President, he is the immediate past governorship candidate of the All Progressive Congress. Even though I worked for PDP and we defeated him, but it's not because he's not capable. We know he's also competent. In 1999, you can imagine someone at a young age to win senatorial election in Enugu State. Or in AD, it wasn't fashionable to be in Alliance for Democracy in the Southeast as at that time. But Chief Nnaji won as a senator, was a senator-elect under the platform of Alliance for Democracy. Mr. President, if we go by our tradition, a senator-elect declared by INEC is almost a senator. So I will support what my distinguished colleague said here, that Nwakibie, with the qualities that we have mentioned, is qualified to bow and go. Mr. President, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, this chamber.
Distinguished Senator Goje.
Thank you, Mr. President. I remain Mohammed Danjuma Goje, representing Gobe Central. Mr. President, I stand to strongly recommend Chief Uche Naji for confirmation as the Minister for the Republic of Nigeria. I know him very well for the past 25 years. He is a decentralized Nigerian, like said by one of the speakers. He established businesses all over the country. I know he has businesses here in the north. He has been doing business with many northerners. He has employed them. Some are his partners. He's a good Nigerian. He is also very meticulous, very sincere and honest. And therefore, when I saw his name, I was very elated. And I am happy for whatever ministry Mr. President takes into him. He will do very well, and I'm sure that he will not disappoint us. For this reason, he may not be a senator, even though he was senator-elect. I was also once a senator-elect in 1998, but because Abacha died, I could not call myself senator. So I know what it meant to suffer, for somebody to go through elections, to finance the election, to win the election, only waiting for swearing. At least, as Osita said, he is near the thing. Even if he's not there, he's very close to becoming a senator. So for this reason, Mr. President, I urge my colleagues to endorse and confirm this very good nominee, a very good decentralized Nigerian, and a committed philanthropist, and a good businessman. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Distinguished Senator Darlington.
Thank you, the President of the Senate and their colleagues. My name is Darlington Nwokocha. I speak for the entire Nigeria, but Abia Central in particular. Mr. President of Senate and my dear colleagues, I'm happy that we have Uche Geoffrey Naji. Asked him for us to clear him. And I thank God he's going to feature prominently, by the special grace of God, in the National Executive Council. At this point of our nation economy, we need this kind of young men that are very vast in all areas of operation. He's vast in the industrial area, oil and gas, construction, health, which means if we find him in the National Executive Council, he will brainstorm effectively and make the necessary contributions. And I know quite well that at this point, we need people that can think out of the box to see how our economy will move towards the right direction. And I'm sure that Geoffrey Naji will feature and do that exactly well. By the special grace of God also, I know that his younger brother, who presently is a member of House of Representatives, who is doing well there, making us proud, will actually guide him right in terms of legislative input to take the right decision, look into the necessary laws, if he finds himself in any of the ministries, and he will guide me right, and so that he will have a perfect result. Therefore, I call on my colleagues to read in between the lines, and let's clear him for him to represent his state and entire Nigeria in offering the best that will move our country to the highest, greater heights. Thank you, Mr. Senate President.
Chairman, public petition.
Mr. President, my name is Okechukwu Ezia. I represent the great people of Enugu North Senatorial Zone. The nominee before us is from my state, and I will not want to waste the time of this
distinguished Senate. Other speakers have said all positives about him. We all support his candidature. And I would urge my colleagues to please allow the nominee to take a bow. But before I close, Mr. President, I want to make a point here. I want to draw your attention to Section 14, subsection 3 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It states, the composition of the government of the Federation or any of its agencies shall recognize and reflect the federal character of Nigeria and need to promote national unity and also to command national loyalty, thereby ensuring that there shall be no predominance of persons from a few states or from a few ethnic or other sectional groups in the government and its agencies. The point I'm making, I'm not saying that Enugu State is not represented. The point I'm making is that since 1999, Enugu State has produced 8 ministers, none from my senatorial zone. Please, it's important. I need to say what affects my senatorial zone. Please, Mr. President, sir, as the government is going to nominate more candidates, I expect that my senatorial zone will be recognized. Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Distinguished Senator Ezia, and you are the chairman of public petitions, and you are yourself a petitioner. Senator Karimi.
Thank you, Mr. President. My point of order is on Order 52, Rule 4. A senator must confine his observation to the subjects under discussion and may not introduce matter irrelevant thereto.
Point of order is sustained. Let me thank my distinguished colleagues for all your contributions. And the nominee, it looks like you are a nationalist. So if you are given this opportunity, what do you think you will do to create more employment opportunities for the young Nigerians?
First and foremost, Your Excellency, I'm humbled by the kind words coming from the distinguished senators of the Federal Republic about me. When I was running for the governorship of Enugu State, unfortunately, Enugu State has a 52.9% unemployment rate. Unfortunately. Enugu State has an unemployment rate of 52.9%. Simply, what we were looking at from my team was to use agriculture in the state as the main area of employment. At the time in question, we were looking at in every senatorial zone, if we can have up to 10 to 50,000 square meters of, hectares of land, then we will dedicate each of the zones with the type of agriculture that the zone will sustain. And as we are harvesting it, like if we take rice, for instance, if we are doing rice, as we are harvesting the rice paddies, we are setting up the rice mill so that the paddies goes to the mill right away. And as you are bringing out rice from the mill, you are packaging, using some for our people, sending some for export. If you do that way, so that the paddies goes to the mill right away. If you look at in an area where Senator Ostan, distinguished Senator Ostan represents, the area called Aniri, they do a lot of okra. But because they don't have people off-take, they don't have off-takers, it is difficult for them to make money. Most of the time, they end up trashing those okra, you know. But if you have off-takers, maybe government of taking it from them, you know, it will be easy for more people to be planting okra. Most of the time, they end up trashing those okra, you know. But if you have off-takers, maybe government of taking it from them, you know, it will be easy for more people to be planting okra and more people getting paid out of using, out of cultivating okra. So that's the same for every other area of agriculture. You know, once you have an off-take, if government has an industry, which is the secondary economy, if you have an industry that is taking off the products, you know, more people will go into agriculture, and our youths will no longer be idle. And this will touch on the security of the zone as we talk, because if the youths are engaged, the security of the zone will be taken care of. So that's my take on how we can reduce employment. So this can be multiplied in a bigger thing like Nigeria.
Your area of concentration in job creation will be agriculture and associated fields, and particularly where you have the other components of it, which is production and the use of the agricultural products. So if you have associated small and micro industries, then you have government creating a situation of off-taking, where they become the off-takers. So as they produce, those things are taken away. And so you make money in two ways also. Thank you for your contribution. You may now take a bow.
Cannot finish this thing today. You have to step it down. You have to spread this thing to the whole day.
The next person.
Mr. President, I want you to take our standing order and look at order 40 and read it so that we'll be properly guided. Or do I read it out? 41. Because we have a lot of work to do. Do I go ahead? No. I'm just saying, you see, as we are screening, these issues of partition should only be directed as in the order.
Point of order is noted. Yes. Distinguished colleagues, we have another nominee before us, a former woman leader of my party, and she's here. The distinguished nominee, no, you are not distinguished. You are a former woman leader of my party. If it is Senator Baribe, he will use his head to know that I'm not in APCA. And if it is Senator Nengi, he will use his teeth to count his tongue. so my sister, go ahead. Introduce yourself and then small resume. And after that, you answer questions from your brothers and sisters in the Hallowed Chamber.
Good evening, His Excellency, the President of the 10th Senate, my leader, His Excellency Godswill Akpabio. Good evening to the Deputy President of the 10th Senate, my leader, Senator Jubril Barrow. I hope I got it correct this time, sir. Thank you. The majority leader, the leader of the 10th Assembly and other leaders of the 10th Assembly. Good evening, very distinguished senators of the 10th Assembly. I stand before you today with profound gratitude to God Almighty and to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, with a deep sense of purpose to share with you a glimpse of my life's journey, my academic qualification, my experience and achievements as a Nigerian. My name is Stella Eriwogene Okotete. I was born on the 20th day of April, 1984. To late Francis Okotete of Ekerawe Kingdom in Agbaro, Warri, Delta State. I attended Twins Fountain Group of Schools, Ogunu, in Warri, Delta State, and proceeded to the Federal Government Girls College, Benin City, in Edo State, where I obtained my senior school leaving certificate. I also attended the prestigious River State College of Art and Science, Rumola, in Port Harcourt, where I also obtained my diploma in law in 2002. I also proceeded to Benson Idausa University in Benin City, where I obtained a BA in International Studies and Diplomacy, and proceeded to serve, where I did my orientation camp in Benin, Kebbi State, and finished my service in Edo State. I served with Braindor Ventures Limited, 20 Ekenwa Road in Benin City, Edo State, and went into politics. I had my share in politics as I was affirmed by the appeal court as a councillor representing the good people of Agbaro in Ugeli North Local Government in Delta State. I held that office for a period and served as chairman of the Councillors Committee on Education and the vice chair on health. During my short stay in the council, I was able to drive
the governor's free education projects and programs in my local government. The governor found me worthy and appointed me as a special assistant in 2011 on Millennium Development Goals in Delta State. As SA Millennium Development Goals, I was more in charge of monitoring and evaluation, policy formation, and implementations of the Millennium Development Goals across poverty eradication, maternal mortality reduction, and child mortality reduction, as well as projects that has to do with education. In 2015, May 29th, the tenure of His Excellency came to an end. And the immediate past president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in 2017 found me worthy and appointed me in line with the Act of the Nigerian Export and Import Bank, Section 11 and Section 8 and 14. He appointed me Executive Director of the Nigerian Export and Import Bank in charge of business development. The functions of the ED of the bank, which I still hold till date, is to drive the business directorate of the bank, to create quality risk assets, and also provide funding to exporters in the non-oil sector. When we resumed in 2017, we met a balance sheet size of 67 billion. We grew it as at 2022, when our tenure was renewed, to 256 billion. We also met a bank that was already recording losses year in, year out for 3 years. As at 2016, the bank recorded over 6 billion loss. Today, the Nigerian Export and Import Bank is standing shoulder to shoulder as one of the leading export credit agencies of Africa. We recorded profits in 2022 of about 6 billion naira. I was also the woman representative, popularly known as the woman leader of the All Progressives Congress Ketika Committee in 2020. As woman leader of the ruling All Progressives Congress at that time, I was able to bring to bear quality representations for our women, and we established new policies that would help shape visibility for our women across board. One of it is the Progressive Women Academy, which was approved by the Apple Store and the Google Store. It's an online academy where women can learn various soft skills to make themselves not just visible in the business space, but also in politics. I also understood, being a very young politician that got into politics at a very young age, that there was need to build bridges across the older women in politics and the younger ones. And I established the Progressive Young Women's Forum, which was also a platform to groom future female leaders and mentor them. I'm proud to say today that I have women who were part of my mentees serving as commissioners, elected as House of Assembly members, and also councillors, and currently some of them as special assistants and advisors at various state levels. I also created the lobby group of the APC women, and we're able to galvanize stakeholders to accept the responsibility to push for more visibilities for our women. Based on that, when we did the review of the APC constitution, we're able to accommodate another seat for a woman in the NWC. Today, that's the only party in Africa that gives 2 seats, the leader, the woman leader seat, and the deputy woman leader seat, to women in the NWC. I also, by the grace of God, was also able to influence such platforms for women across the party structure at the state, local government, and senatorial district. Mr. Senate President, while in Nexim, I'll tell you that I noticed that there was a short in our exports, especially with our commodity exports. Commodity exports in Nigeria, when we resumed, was at its lowest. And we noticed that export of commodities in its raw form means we're exporting labor and we're receiving nothing but very little earnings in FX. And to grow the sector, we decided to introduce products that would add value and export. Today, under our leadership, the leadership of Abubakar Bello and my humble self and my other colleague Bala Bello, we're able to initiate the pay by vendor, the produce, add value and export. Today we are producing cashew nuts from Nigeria and exporting. We're also processing other agricultural products for export. Distinguished senators, in conclusion, sir, my vision for Nigeria aligns with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the aspirations of our great nation to diversify our economy, to strengthen governance, to promote sustainable development, and foster strong global partnership, which I firmly believe. As a young politician, I have a creed, and I believe that public service is an opportunity for me to serve humanity, to give my best, and to ensure that I become a model for other young women in Nigeria and in extension Africa, so they could also add to the economic and social development and growth of their nation. Thank you very much, distinguished senators.
Well, in line with my usual practice of sometimes recognizing one person from the state of origin of you are not from there. This one that you had is up. Even Senator Abu, allow Senator Ide Dafinone, who is from there, to say something first. Eh? Because I know what you are going to say.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Chief Ide Dafinone, and I represent the good people of Delta Central Senatorial District in Delta State. I have to disclose as I start that the nominee is very well known to me as one of the constituents in Delta Central. As a strong politician, she has distinguished herself locally and also nationally in the work she has done for our party. But notwithstanding that, I've also worked very closely with the nominee when I served for 1 year as a non-executive director at Nexim Bank. What the nominee did not mention is that her position as the executive director of the business development unit meant that she was in the engine room of the bank. The business development office is the operational department of Nexim Bank. So she was in charge of operations of the bank. And in that position, she has been responsible for growing the balance sheet of the bank and has done exceptionally well. I want to add also that as a young woman, she has also favored the youth and women in her policies at the bank. That is aside from the policies she has done at home, encouraging young people in various developments and empowerment programs. She has also been very instrumental in growing non-oil exports. And at today's date, non-oil exports are a key focus of this administration as we protect the need to grow our economy in the background of dwindling oil reserves and a move globally away from fossil fuels to more sustainable forms of energy. So my question that I would like to put to the nominee, so that she can extend, yes please. My colleague says she has distinguished herself already. So what remains is for me to say that I speak on behalf of my two colleagues from Delta State, who are both fully in support of the nominee, and to ask distinguished members if the nominee from Delta State could please be recognized for her good work at Nexim Bank, with the background that she has served one complete term at Nexim Bank, and that term has been renewed about a year ago, which shows that she has distinguished herself at the bank. With that, Mr. President, I ask distinguished members to please ask the nominee from Delta State to please take a bow and go. Thank you, Excellency.
Off your mic. Honestly, when she mentioned that she was the woman leader of the greatest party in Africa, I just remember that we are all from political parties, and in normal circumstances, the party is supreme. Is it the wish of the Senate that the nominee should take a bow? Yes. Those who are in support say aye. Aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it.